I'll go and check it out, see if it's working.
Okay.
I already got it brought up. I'm just waiting.
Ooh,
Yeah, so
give it
am I.
about 6 seconds. There it goes.
Yeah.
See, man, controlling it the way that
Yeah.
I used to didn't really give me any control whatsoever. But now,
Yeah, it's come up.
and look, our faces are massive.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Now people have to actually look at us. All right, so now I got to do this thing. Let's see.
We go live and my cat shows up.
Hey.
All right, I'm going to pop out the chat, so I've got that knocking about.
And there we go. There's the tweet. Now with more kittens, we're live.
You want the cat?
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yes, it'd definitely be an advantage to have a bigger monitor.
There we go.
Although this one's not too bad for having a couple of windows open.
All right. I think we're good. We're looking good. Now I need to go to the chat. Pop out chat. Oh, you know what I can do? You know what I haven't been doing? Is the chat. Let me see if I can do that. Hey there, look at that. Chat. I don't know if that's the best place to put it, but that might be as
Just
good
have
as
it
it's
cover
gonna
Tony.
get. That might work. Oh, look. Oh, beautiful.
That works.
There we go. Cool. Look at that. Look at that.
I gotta remember to come back and forth and check on it every now and again.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'll try and pay attention to it. There we go.
I'll put that thing that you were talking about yesterday in the announcements, and we'll talk about it there.
Oh, no, I did. We're all there.
Okay.
Tony, you got to lead in, and I got to make me one too.
Oh yeah. Let me. Keeps moving.
Sorry. I got mine in there, though. Yeah, one thing I meant to look at was a little bit more into this brack tooth thing. So while you're typing that up. Yeah, this particular one didn't really have a whole lot of information, so. Brack tooth, raw.
What? The low profile mechanical keyboard, should that have come before your name, Leo? Or
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
hold on.
Low profile or like a 60% that's low profile. So how small are you trying to get here? Full size keyboard?
Really what I'm looking for is look, Keychron K3. Look up a Keychron K3. I'll put it in the show notes in a little bit, but if you're looking at the live stream, pretty much this.
Keychron K3.
Yeah.
Ultra slim. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say you could probably... Well, yeah, that is That's not quite a 60% keyboard.
No,
like
it's
a
got that
70% or
right-hand
something.
column there. It still has a print screen button. I need a print screen button.
And
That's
it's got
super
all
important.
the function buttons. It's got
Right.
all the function buttons.
That's the other thing. I can't do without a tilde, which is what a lot of the 65% keyboards do away with to get rid of that top row. And
Well,
they replace
don't.
the tilde with the escape.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to do...
you can get a tilde.
Well, yeah, but I'm not trying to do like function 4, F5, 3, 2, and then one key to get a tilde.
Yeah.
I want a tilde. Like it's home in Linux. I need it.
I
It's
understand.
important.
I understand. No, I was just going to say that it's entirely possible to get a board that's hot swappable and then get the short throw mechanical keys and then the low profile keycaps, but it gets expensive.
Well, hold that thought because I want to talk about it because these keycrons...
It's 8 o'clock my time.
No, we're not doing
it. Are we doing Audacity and getting this game on the road?
Are you saying there's a show?
we don't do that. We don't do that trash. Hold on. One last thing. Leo. Yes. Okay. Good. I was worried that I didn't log in to it. So, hold on. How do you do connect to server? That's it. Sorry, I gotta download the music, man. I forgot to get the music.
Okay. Yeah, we can't do anything without the music.
Yeah, I need the music. Home Leo. What is it? It's documents, isn't it? mintCast. There it is. Let's copy that bad boy. Put it over here. Copy. Ah, what? No, stop doing that. I don't want that. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go.
And yet we still haven't hit record.
No,
hold on. I'm getting the music. I gotta be ready. Hold on. We're almost there. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready now. I'm ready.
Right. Okay. So we're ready to do 3, 2, 1 record and the silence.
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1 record. Okay.
Yay.
No trucks.
Hold on, was it? I can't ever remember. Is it 20 or 25?
That was 25. So.
Oh, okay.
Does the Keychron come with greens or browns or blues?
Gatoron Reds is what I would choose, but they don't have it in stock, which is why I'm having a conundrum, because I kind of want something now, but the only other real option is the SK630 from Cooler Master, and there was something wrong with the keyboard that I didn't like. I can't remember. So
yeah, and once you go full custom, you're looking at $300 for a keyboard.
Right. Well, but here's the thing, right? With this one, you can buy this one, but spend $10 extra to get the hot swappable version of it.
Oh. Well, then you can come back later and spend another $25,
$30. You can always have this conversation on the show, you know.
I know, Joe. It's
in
my thing.
Let's hold it off.
It's in my wanderings, man.
Okay,
right,
okay.
Let's do the zeros.
All right.
3, 2, 1,
0.
Ooh, you guys were way behind me.
Oh.
We sounded right on. I mean, Leo sounded a little off, but I was like right on time with you.
Let's do one more just in case then.
3, 2, 1,
0.
No, you two guys were all synced up, and I was about a quarter of a second in front of you.
All right, and so that's what I was saying.
That's latency.
When I connected to Discord, it took a sec, and that was because it's the first person to connect gets the choice of server, so it's geographically closer to you, Tony. And so we've got that split-second lag for us.
As long as Audacity works all right, we should be all right.
Yeah, I mean, because what is that? It's just like 1 or 2 miles between us, I think.
Oh, just a couple.
That's all.
Yeah, it's not that far.
That's all. No big deal.
I could be over there in about 12 hours.
Yeah, of course, of course.
As the crow flies in a jumbo.
Oh, Nishan asks if I can share the music clip. Yes, I will. I think it's out on the internet for free, but I'll give you ours. That's fine. 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Yusuf says 0. All right. Oh, wait. Recorded on Sunday the what? 5th of September.
Yeah, it is the 5th.
And then I need to get... I guess I'll just double-click it. Yeah, I guess I'll just double-click it. Okay. All right, we ready?
Yeah, I'll mute.
All right. Welcome to mintCast, the podcast by the Linux Mint community for all users of Linux.
From that part of Super Mario where the sun tries to kill you, I'm Joe.
And this is Tony, and I'm about walked out.
And looking for a low-profile mechanical keyboard, I'm Leo. This is episode 369. This is episode 369.5. Recorded on Sunday, the 5th of September. Hey, that's what post is for. Hang on, wait a minute. I leaned forward to do the zero. Oh, I know what I did. Oh no! Stop. There we go. Okay, anyway.
You mucking this up?
A little bit. Livestream information is at mintcast.org/livestream. If you see something that you'd like to hear about, tell us. Send us email at mintcast@mintcast.org. Join us live on YouTube. Post at the mintcast subreddit. Chat with us on Telegram, Discord, Facebook, or post directly at mintcast.org. First up, in the news, Linux Mint is ready for a facelift. Snaps get an upgrade. Kernel 5.14 is out, and 5.15 is looking good. Ubuntu gets a release date, and OpenShot takes on Kden Live. In security, cache flushing and Bluetooth flaws. Then in our wanderings, Joe pines a phone with plasma, Tony walks 500 miles, and I search for a keyboard. In our intersection, Debian 11 and what that means for LMDE. And finally, the feedback and a couple of suggestions. So in the news, we get a whole new Linux Mint monthly news for August. Thanks, Londoner, for the link. And this is a good one, I think. If you have ever thought, in your entire time with Linux Mint, you go to the website and you're like, wow, this website looks like it's straight out of 1995. You're not alone. And the good thing about this, though, is that the facelift, we looked at this, it wasn't last episode, I think it was the episode prior. Yeah, it would have been because it was about a month ago, where we took a look at the Wixio site skeleton that they're using. So it's got like a bunch of stock images and stuff on it. But the new website is 75% done, and Clem is quoted in the blog as saying, we'll deploy it on our server this month and transition our current website towards it. So that is, I think, a really cool thing. It's going to be nice. That first impression is everything. What do you guys think?
Looks
it's always good to update. Yeah.
Yep. If you look at the GitHub site, looks like they need some additional stuff. Looks like release notes, new features, and donors pages is still being worked on. The brand page is being worked on. But that seems to be about it. There's a little work on the CSS. Some of the logo and font in the header footer. So yeah, there's a few things that still need to be done, but things are looking good. Things are on track, and I think that's probably a little bit more than the 75% that he was talking about. So in the time that he released that, it looks like it's gone up a little bit. So that's great. I'm excited for it. First impressions are everything, etc., etc. So folks that come to the Linux Mint website won't be scared off by thinking the distro is stuck in 1995. Man. Tony, I can't hear you.
Sorry.
Hey, there it is. Okay.
My mic was off.
I thought it was me. I heard the first little bit of what you were saying, and then I didn't hear anything else. So yeah.
Yeah. I thought we agreed on our last show that it was probably 2010 rather than the 1990s. the old website.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is an improvement.
It is. It very much is. I think if you're curious as to what that might look like a little bit, take a look at the 2 episodes ago on YouTube, and we kind of scroll through what it's looking like. I mean, honestly, it's modern. The things fade in, big, huge pictures. I think that's a big upgrade for where we were. But good. It's really good. So sticking with the look and feel of things, some of the artwork is going to change as well. So Mint Y is being streamlined to provide less complexity and work better in a variety of cases. So really what that means is they're getting rid of the darker variant. So there are 3 variants right now that come with Linux Mint. There's dark, which is dark. There's light, which is light. Well, actually not light. It's just the non-named one. So like Mint Y yellow, whatever. And then they've got darker. So darker is a mixture of the two, where you've got like top bars and where all of the icons are, like the magnifying glass and all that kind of stuff. That's all dark, but everything else is like light mode. So that is going away soon because it has poor compatibility with the mono icon themes. And I couldn't find a mono icon theme in Linux Mint, so what I think he's talking about there is the high contrast theme. So it just didn't look good, so they're just scrapping it. Do either of you two use the darker version, or is it just light and dark?
I was just going to say, a lot of this is lost on me because I just use stock. Whatever I get with Mate, I just leave it.
Oh, so
I'm quite happy with it.
You're using a light theme then?
Yeah, but it's the stock one that comes out of the box with the ISO, and I just leave it.
Oh, okay.
It works for me,
same here. I don't change it.
Oh wow, I still have theming tendencies, so yeah, it affects me more than it affects y'all. But I don't actually use darker anymore. Right when I started using Linux Mint again, when they came out with a darker version of the theme, that's what I went to because I didn't like a full dark theme because some applications didn't work with it. But over time, the dark theme integrated better. And then I fully swapped over to the dark theme. So lucky for me, this won't affect me either. But if you're using that middle theme, eventually it will just go away.
Yeah, I think all these different themes are good because, like all 3 of us wear glasses, and everyone has different eyes, and some people are more comfortable with different visual effects.
Yeah.
So I think the fact you've got the choice is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And it just happens for me that Mate, the Linux Mint Mate comes in with the one that works for me anyway. But if I did need to change it, I've got the option to change it if I want to.
Yeah. There's one thing that I've been kind of missing that's not part of the news or anything, but it's a few months ago, Clem had announced that they were going to add some updated color versions of the themes that already existed. Like the blue would be a higher contrast blue. It'd be sharper. The green would be a little limier. And just, a lot of the colors were going to get that kind of, they would pop more, I guess, is the idea. But there was a lot of backlash on that. And I really feel like it was going to be, it's more of a, vocal minority kind of thing that came back on that. But to be honest with you, I'd love them. If he could put those out as like variants or some way to install them, like a package to use to install them, that would be amazing. Because as it stands right now, I'm going to have to go and compile it myself because these themes aren't like regular themes. They have to be compiled with Python or something like that to actually work. So I'm working on that. I mean, that'd be kind of cool if I could get it to work and then show people how to do it. But yeah, I want a higher contrast or a poppier blue. That would be amazing. But one day. So anyway, so speaking of themes still though, there are going to be 5 applications, at least right now, that are going to not ignore. They are going to go against the grain as far as light theme goes. Celluloid, Xviewer, Pix, Hypnotics, and Gnome Terminal. So Celluloid is the music and video player that's default. Xviewer, what is Xviewer? Oh, it's the image viewer. And Pix, which, okay. So Pix is the like the image like library thing where you can manage all your images, and Xviewer is just the thing that'll view the images. Hypnotics is that online TV thing, and Gnome Terminal. All those will, by default, not respect the light theme and show up in a dark theme. But in true Linux Mint fashion, you can turn that off. So I think that's really good because the dark theme seems to like fade into the back and get out of your way. So even if you're on a light theme, that might not be a bad idea, especially if you're watching a video or something like that. So that's cool. Some new changes coming. We got some new emblems. So emblems are the little icons down in the bottom right-hand corner of your icon. So your icon's icon. And so there's some new ones that are a bit, I guess, more descriptive of what they are, right? As, text, favorites, emergency or warning or something like that. Or, I've already looked at this document. I've already reviewed this document, put an emblem on it, something like that. You can do stuff like that with pretty much any icon in the entire distribution. But it's just kind of nice to see some better looking ones as well. And then the last little bit is having to do with the title bar of Linux Mint. So on the default themes of Linux Mint, two things. Number one, if you're looking at Firefox on YouTube right now, you can see what the icons look like for minimize and maximize. So minimize, that little rectangle, and maximize are two arrows going diagonally in opposite directions to kind of signify, get bigger. But it looks like Clem has decided that those things are not descriptive enough. And I think that's probably the right choice, because if you're coming from a Windows background or most other Linux distributions, it has that same visual cue where it's one thin line on the bottom for minimize and just a box for maximize. I think it's not necessarily more descriptive, but I think it's just more comfortable for a lot of folks. So that's what's going to happen. So Linux Mint will get these, the little flat line and the square, to represent those two things here pretty soon. And then the last little thing is having to do with the X button. So in the X button, when you hover over it, in my opinion, I've always thought they were kind of small. So I don't think the size is going to change, though it does kind of look a little bit bigger in that screenshot that he's got. But I don't think they're actually getting bigger. I think what's happening, though, is the clickable area is going to get bigger. So while the icon's not going to get bigger, you can click kind of around it as well, and that will work. And then, of course, when you deselect a window, which I think is already its default behavior, the circle is going to go... actually, no, I see it. I see it now. The circle is going to go fully away, leaving the X to just be kind of a gray shadow of itself. So that circle will go away when you deselect a window and will come back when you select that window again. So it helps with identifying what window is in the front. So yeah, some really cool stuff. So they're looking at GTK4 support. I know Hoozy in the chat was asking yesterday, because of Jeremy Soller and the GNOME team were kind of back and forthing on Twitter in a not so great way, where theming is just not a priority for GTK4 or the GNOME team. It's not. Everything is going to have to be funneled through libadwaita, and you have to play by their rules, which is don't theme anything. Well, that doesn't really work very well for Pop! OS, Ubuntu, Linux Mint, Elementary OS. Well, I think Elementary OS has figured out a way to do it. But basically everybody that themes anything on GTK, it's always been no, but now it's no for real, because you have to work around it and hack it to make it actually work. So in GTK 3, it was still considered a hack, but it was easy, right? I mean, you could do it. And so anyway, that's the deal. GTK 4 support's being looked at. Some more color variations, please. Please, Clem. Give me the good ones. That's what I want, please. And then that'll do it. They got a new sponsor, DOS Keyboard. I looked at them for a keyboard, but I'll talk about that a little bit more later. Anyway, Snapcraft 6.0 is out. So if you're on Linux Mint, you probably don't have Snap installed unless you went and installed it yourself. But it looks like
I have Snap installed.
Oh, you do? Okay,
So
cool.
do
And,
I.
yeah, see, there you go. I don't. Flatpak seems to work very well for me. But for y'all, this means that Core 18, which was the Ubuntu base, 1804, is getting pushed to the background. It's not going anywhere. So all the apps are still going to work, and all the apps that depend on Core 18 will continue to work in perpetuity, right? Until Core 18, I guess, is fully deprecated, which likely won't happen anytime soon. But it's being replaced by Core 20, which is the 20.04 base for all the snaps. So this means that apps can take advantage of the newer base of Core 20. But with this switch, we lose one, we gain one. i386 dropped in Core 20. There is some very basic things that are kept in what they call a skeleton list of i386 dependencies. But pretty much outside of that list, if you're going outside of that list, I don't know how you're going to deal with that other than just continue basing on Core 18, which still supports i386. So it's not going anywhere. It's just not going to be available in Core 20 if that's where you want to base. But we gain RISC 64-bit support. Yay! So for anybody that has a RISC chip, you're going to soon be able to run snaps. Ooh. So for all the developers that base on Core 20 and you are on a RISC chip, you'll take advantage of any of the software that's available there. So it's up to the devs to choose whether they want to be on Core 18 or Core 20, but for those of us as users of Snap, we won't feel anything. So if you snap things, you'll probably have to deal with this. Not very long, but you will. And everybody else, we just get to enjoy the cool updates. So next up is kernel 5.14, which is the kernel that's going to be released in Impish Idri, which is Ubuntu 21.10. So this is the kernel that we're going to take advantage of in Linux Mint soon after release. And I'm extremely excited for it because that means an AMD GPU driver upgrade. Yay! I'm pretty excited for this because as you've probably heard me drone on over and over and over again, I tend to prefer AMD over NVIDIA because I don't have to ever think about what driver I'm using. And when kernel upgrades come or when Mesa upgrades come, I just upgrade them and take advantage of all the new performance benefits. So just little incremental changes like that are fantastic. One other cool little change, though, is in 5.14, you get support for KVM on AArch64, which is for the Pi. Hey! So you get KVM support on the Pi. Well, I'm hoping. I'm hoping that's what that translates into. Let's see.
Would you, on the Raspberry Pi, if that's giving you the ability to run virtual machines, how would that work on something that's so low powered?
I mean, you're not going to be running 12 VMs of the same operating system. Thinking. But you can do things like running an Alpine Linux VM, which is an extremely slimmed down version of Linux, uses like 50 megs of RAM on boot. And really, I guess with the Raspberry Pi 4, I mean, you have the ability to have 8 gigs of RAM. So while you can't do CPU intensive operations, you can certainly get a lot of VMs running. And Nishan asks, does that mean Pinebooks too? I would suppose so, yes. He says he's an NVIDIA user. It's fine. True. You can be an NVIDIA user. That's fine. I prefer not to be, just so I don't have to think about my operating system totally blowing up because it decided to upgrade its kernel or something. Fun times. Anyway, a couple of cool 5.15 kernels, which will be coming in about 5 or 6 weeks. Next Gen BZ Wireless. So that's not the name of it, right? I mean, we have AX and all this stuff. BZ is just the pre-name that we have for it. But this is the Wi-Fi 6E family of wireless chipsets as far as Intel is concerned. So this is like the 6 gigahertz Wi-Fi. So we have 2.4. Well, we have 2.4. We have 5 gigahertz, and then now we're going to have 6 gigahertz, which I would assume is going to give us a lot more bandwidth, a lot more throughput over wireless. But we're seeing a lot of the preliminary modules.
More difficulty through walls and things, though.
I was just thinking.
Yep, that's the deal. I mean, with 5 gigahertz, you already got to be a few feet within range of the thing, and then you don't have to have line of sight, but the better that is, the better your signal is, and all that. So it'll just be fast. Well, I remember reading something about LiDAR, which was you had to be in line of sight. But it was screaming fast, like 10 gigs or something like that. It was
that was a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. I think we were doing the show at the time where somebody had come out with a LiDAR router, but it never caught on because basically anything would block it.
Yeah, and that's pretty much true. So we'll see how it goes. I remember in that they were trying to put it in like all of the light fixtures in a room or something like that, so you could be anywhere in the room. So I don't know, but it seems like a lot of work just to get something like that working. Anyway, so BZ Wireless is in 5.15, and then there's additional M1 rudimentary graphics support. So Alyssa Rosenzweig has been working a lot on getting things painted in Debian, and she's making a whole lot of progress. And this graphic support landing in the kernel means that she'll be able to do even more work. So what do you guys think? You think with the M2 chip, the one that comes after M1, do you think Apple's going to pull the plug on all this and change absolutely everything so none of it works anymore?
Do you think they're going to worry about it? Because whatever we do in the Linux community, I'm not talking about me personally, I'm talking about the community, there's a hell of a lot of work to get it to work anyway.
Yep.
And for the vast majority of people who are going to be buying these machines, they want Apple. You know, there are going to be one or two geeks who are going to be prepared to spend the money because it's such a lightweight and good, battery life. But the majority of people are just going to buy AMD or Intel machines to run Linux on. They're not going to be buying M1s and M2s.
Yeah.
Apple is really good hardware. You can't argue that.
If you can afford it.
The screens are great. Eventually, they're going to hit the secondary market and be a whole lot cheeper. And
not a whole lot. They don't lose a lot of their value. But your point stands.
They don't lose a lot of their value because the hardware is basically top end and is going to be that way for, at least reasonably usable and pretty darn good for an extremely long time. Yeah. I mean, look at the 2012 MacBook. It basically didn't receive a major update until 2017, and even now it's still usable. So yeah, it might take a while, but once Linux gets on there, they can change it however they want. Eventually it's going to end up on there and people are going to end up using it just to extend the life of that little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, and that's what people are doing with Macs now, but yeah, I don't think they care. I don't think Apple cares.
How
much time
they got their money out of it.
Yeah, how much time do you think in those board meetings are they talking about? All right, so these Linux guys, all 8 of them, they're hacking our hardware, and they're making some changes that I don't think we tend to agree with. So in M2, what we're going to do is we're going to spend a lot of engineering time. We're going to spend engineering time to change it so that they can no longer take it's. I think it's silly.
We say that, but Windows did that exact thing, more or less.
Well, under
and
who?
They're still doing it now.
Are they?
Well, look at Windows 11 and the requirements for that. You have to have that that specialized chip in it.
Yeah, the TPM.
It's to prevent anybody else from installing anything else on it other than Windows.
Yeah, but keep in mind that Ubuntu is still fully installable with TPM and Secure Boot. And so are any other distributions that decide to get their signed shim. So, yes, I get that Windows is trying to force this, but I mean, you have options. You can go buy a Mac or you can decide to use Linux, which, I mean, I understand is a very small minority of people, but you have options. And I mean, most people, I think they're just going to go buy another laptop. That's what they're going to do.
On this dual boot machine right here, sometimes the Windows updates still brick my grub, and I got to go in and manually fix it.
Yeah, but that's Windows, and I don't think they're being mean to Linux. I just think they don't particularly care. And same with Apple. They don't care. They don't care.
Now, it doesn't happen as often as it used to, but back in the day, it was every other update bricked grub.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get that. And again, if Apple breaks what Linux has gotten, what the people in Linux have gotten the progress done, like if that breaks, it's not going to be because there was a board meeting and they all decided to break Linux. It's because they changed their engineering toolkit or something like that, and whatever we created just no longer works.
Right.
Not because they're trying to chase us down.
They're not actively against Linux, but they do want their newer hardware to be Mac OS based for that little bit longer in order to keep making money off of us through advertising and everything else. So, yeah, for the first generation or two, I suppose they would.
I mean,
try and find ways to restrict.
Overall, running Linux on a Mac is a hack. And if that breaks because the hardware changes or something like that, then it breaks because the hardware changes. It's not going to make hackers want to do this any less. That's what they do.
Well, I guess you could also say in the other direction that, running Mac on a Windows box is a hack. And so, it's definitely not the easiest thing in the world to do. And you figure they would want their operating system in as many places as possible, not just necessarily on their own hardware, but they sure push for it.
But back in the day when Apple was on PowerPC chips, it was harder to get Linux on it. It was possible, but it was, there had to be a special release like there is for ARM chips.
And now Debian puts out a PowerPC release. Yeah, but Debian has a PowerPC release now to continue running on those 2004 Macs.
Correct. Yeah.
So it'll get there, and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that's pretty much it for that. That's good. Anyway, so Ubuntu 22.04 gets a release date. Yay! So if you go down, you see feature freeze February 24th. You get user interface freeze March 17th. So that's the last of the gnomes that are going to be coming in. Beta freeze March 28th. Kernel freeze April 07. So April 7th. And I want to say I did the math. I think that's going to put us at about kernel 5.17. I'm hoping that's what we'll get, because I think it would be in March, maybe late February, early March, where we'll get that last kernel. All things, running smoothly, of course.
So this is giving us an indicator of what Mint 21 is going to look like.
Yes. And then April 21st is going to be the actual final release. So April 21st, you will see, all things go well, you'll see Ubuntu 22.04, the new long-term support release. And as Tony said, it's what Linux Mint 21 is going to be based off of. And then, by the way, thanks for that link, Dale. I do appreciate that. And then Londoner snuck another one in on us, which is a Firefox one. Joe, I know you love Firefox. So Edge pulled ahead a few months ago. And I think it's because a lot of the, they're now Chromium based, and you see a lot of people upgrading and all that kind of stuff. And of course, there's folks on Linux that are using Edge as their day-to-day, which is pretty cool. But they edged out Firefox a few months ago, and Firefox has clawed back a little bit of that. So we're looking at Firefox at 3.55% of the market, and Edge at 3.57% of the market. Of course, Chrome still dominating at almost 65%, and Safari pretty far behind at 18.75%. So,
as we were talking before the show, I've fallen a little bit out of love with Firefox.
Blasphemy. Because
I've now found it was Firefox that was causing some audio glitches while we were recording the show.
Absolute blasphemy.
So I'm now, I've got my show notes, and
he's switching all of his machines over. He's never going to use Firefox again. He is a diehard Chrome user now.
All right.
No. Wrong.
So are you using
Only
Chromium?
When I'm recording the show.
Yeah. Are you using Chromium right now?
It's Chrome or nothing.
Chromium.
And also, before the show, I realized that Chromium is the reason I have to log in every single time I try to log into YouTube with the mintCast account.
There is one other.
Keeps kicking me out.
There's one other place that I have to use Chromium on, and that's when we use Jitsi for our lug meetings at the moment. And Jitsi runs better on a Chrome base than it does on Firefox, so I use Chromium then.
Nishant says, be ready to have less RAM with Chromium.
Yes.
Well, that's not an issue on this machine. I've got 24 gig on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chrome is the reason I upgraded from 16 gig to 32 gig on my server.
Yeah.
Server/garage desktop.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's our Firefox bashing for this week.
Yeah. Well, the last couple of bits on that stat, on those stats though, is Opera takes up 2.17% of the market share. And that's my title, man. Firefox. At least we're not Opera. That's terrible. But somehow, Internet Explorer still has 0.5% of users, of all users. I don't know how that's possible. But yeah, that's the deal with that. And so I'm going to just make something up for a couple seconds while I find the music again, because I decided to close that out. But anyway, let's go find our transition. Wait, no, let's go find our security update. Let's go do that. Security update. See, I'm just okay. You know what? This live show is just going amazing. That's amazing. So, L1 caching, L1 cache flushing available in kernel 5.15. So, okay.
Can you explain?
Yes. Let me go back. So we did explain kind of how Meltdown Inspector worked. These are your CPU basically guesses what you're trying to do and throws that into cache. Whenever you need it, it's going to pull it back out. It's super duper fast. We found out, though, that there were some really bad flaws about this. None that we have found that are exploited in the wild, but at least academically, we can pull out various bits of data, which include things like passwords and non-encrypted bits, because in cache things aren't encrypted because, it's not supposed to be available to any other process other than the process that's using it. So anyhow, this is especially bad in shared environments like KVM, which we were kind of talking about in the pre-show. So if you're running VMs, this is a particularly bad type of attack that if it were, applied to you, you could lose a lot of data. At best, denial of service. At worst, all of your passwords are gone. So in a kind of a counter to this, in the kernel now, we are able to flush L1 cache. So what this means is all of that stuff that the CPU has been guessing about, we can ask the kernel to say, hey, just flush it all. If you've done a particularly high security or high risk maneuver in the CPU, you can immediately after you're done flush the cache so those particular vulnerabilities, Meltdown Inspector, don't come back to bite you a little bit later.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Can you actually automate that so that it flushes the cache every... If you were working on something that was really security sensitive, could you say flush the cache every 30 minutes or something like that while you were working?
So as far as I know, I haven't dug too far down into the implementation, but I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be the case. You would just set that up after a particular command. So do that, wait 3 seconds, flush the cache, something like that.
Cool.
And then there's a new Bluetooth flaw called Bracktooth. So I ended up looking at the... Oh, by the way, thanks, Londoner, for this one. I didn't really see much explanation in the Tech Radar. So basically, all we get in the Tech Radar write-up is researchers note that the vulnerabilities could be exploited for different types of attacks ranging from denial of service to arbitrary code execution in certain Internet of Things devices. So if you connect up to your Internet of Things devices over Bluetooth, then, all of the attacks. That's pretty much it. So there's a wider write-up on this one. Let me go. Let's see. Yeah, and unfortunately, I just didn't get enough time to actually look into it. But what I'll probably end up doing is talking about this a little bit more on the Saturday show, just simply because it's super interesting. So they've got a video showing how it actually works using Ubuntu. So that does absolutely affect us. It's a hardware thing, so it doesn't matter what operating system you're on. But yeah, you can crash things, and then you can actually attempt to run code. And this looks to me like it's any device using pretty much current versions of Bluetooth. So we're going to need updates on all of the stacks. All of the Bluetooth stacks are going to need some kind of update to mitigate this particular thing. And the fact that it's everything, right? Everything from just plain denial of services and crashing the software to arbitrary code execution, meaning they can run things on your computer. It's a scary thing. So I imagine with 5.15, we'll probably see a mitigation for this one as well. So anyway, a short security update, and that will do it. So let's head down to our bi-weekly wanderings. All right, Joe, you've been fighting? Who you been fighting?
Everybody, mostly. Yeah. Work and, fighting with the school district for my children's rights to an education has been most of my time lately. Granted, my wife has been taking care of most of the stuff for the kids, but it has still been very stressful, and I do help when I'm not working.
Mm-hmm.
My wife has been doing most of the advocating for the kids and working to get them an education and helping other parents do the same for their kids. I don't know if anybody knows the situation here in Texas, but the local schools in this area will not allow any type of remote learning, including for kids that are immune compromised and are likely to have very severe reactions to COVID.
Yeah.
And the COVID numbers right now are absolutely insane. They also refuse to have any type of mask mandate or impose any type of social distancing in the school. The state has 0 ICU space left, at least in this area. More than 90% of the people that are sick are kids, in that 6 to 12 range where they're not allowed to get the shots but still have to go to school and interact with each other. The parents here have expressed these issues to the local school board, and all the board did was quote the law and say that they were not required to do anything more than they have already done.
Yep, blame somebody else. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, it's not their problem. And they are adamantly against anyone getting any type of homeschooling unless they're like completely hospital bound.
Yeah, well, we just don't have the funding for it. There was no funding approved for that. So
there is
there's
funding
just no money
approved for it. No, there is funding approved for it. There is federal funding that is given to the schools specifically for that this year, same as last year. So that's not how it is.
That's totally the opposite to here in the UK, because every school has to do a risk assessment, and this, even though it's no longer a requirement for children at school to wear masks when they go back in this next few days, a lot of schools are still saying, because of the high rates of COVID, they're going to ask, particularly in 11 plus education, they're going to ask children and young adults to wear masks because they deem it's still a risk.
Well, some of the schools have gotten around the governor and him saying that schools that put in mask mandates are not going to get any funding. They've gotten around that by making it a part of the dress code instead of a COVID thing. Some of the schools have gone remote anyway because they were basically being shut down because of the COVID numbers. And then some of the schools are literally shut down completely right now just because they had such massive outbreaks within the school. But like the school here is barely even tracking. We've had one teacher die already. Thankfully, no kids have died, but they're not really even posting any type of tracking whatsoever. They will say, oh, at least one person in such and such a class came up positive. But then they're not requiring people that come up positive to stay home. You can come back 24 hours later, so long as you don't have a fever. And if you get a positive test, all you have to do is go find another doctor that says it's not COVID, and then you can come back that same day. It's absolutely insane.
It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Oh, a lot worse, especially with the Delta, the Lambda, and now the Mu variants. And the Mu variant is supposed to be even more resistant to the vaccine. So, yeah. And they're less than I think it was right around 50% of the adults actually have the vaccination around here, which is insane as far as I'm concerned. But the 6 to 12 range, they can't get it at all. And my daughter, my middle child, is immune compromised, and her brother is 11 years old, and they want him to go to school so that he can go and get sick and then bring it home, and then she gets sick, but they're not letting her stay home either. So,
and this is more politically led than it is public health led.
It is.
Yeah, it is, and it's just it's extremely stressful.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yep.
Anyways, moving away from that hot topic, I installed Manjaro Plasma on the Pine phone because I really wanted to get back to testing it. And I put it on the SD card and loaded it on the phone and went through the first screen setup, and then it got stuck with a flashing cursor. Thankfully, a reboot fixed that one. I do think the Plasma desktop is much more impressive than the one that was being used by Ubuntu. I did have to jump through some hoops in order to get the initial update process started, and I do like that there were a lot more applications that were available on it. What impressed me the most after I went through all the torture of getting the updates working correctly, I could install and use SSHFS just as if it were on a regular desktop, including using compression. Granted, it still wouldn't play high-quality videos very easily, but it did work, and that is a start. I mean, you can install desktop applications on the thing, and that is pretty awesome.
So Nishan's asking how the performance is for those desktop applications. Are they quick, snappy?
They are somewhat snappy. I will discuss that a little bit.
Okay.
Now, with the access to the terminal that actually works, I was able to install a couple of programs, but in order to be able to use them, I needed to turn off scaling. So it's normally set to base. When you first turn it on, it's set to 200% scaling. I had to drop that down to 100% scaling in order to be able to see all the buttons in an application. So that makes everything extremely tiny, but still usable.
So a higher resolution screen, would that fix that?
Well, no, not really. Having applications that were optimized for such a small screen would be better, or having it hooked up to a larger screen.
Of course.
But a higher quality screen, everything's still going to be tiny. See what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, of course.
And it looks it looked really good, but I'll get to that in a second too. It looked really good, even at that really tiny scale. Sometimes, I'm old, so I got to bring it up close to my face to be able to see the percentage numbers for the battery and things like that. But overall, slowness bringing up apps wasn't an issue or anything like that. Now, with the scaling off, I was able to properly use Midori. I installed Midori, and I loaded up Plex. I was able to play videos, watchably, mostly, but I had to dial the quality down to 240p, which really tells me that the video optimization is not on this device, and that graphics hardware acceleration isn't there yet either. So another thing I installed was Barrier, which is a fork of Synergy to allow me to use a mouse and keyboard that's hooked up to another machine to it. The install worked and the server saw it and connected to it, but when I moved the mouse onto the screen, nothing would happen. I mean, it would say that it was there, but then nothing would come up on the screen of the device itself. No keyboard interaction or mouse interaction whatsoever. Now, when I hooked it up using a USB-C dongle, everything worked just fine. So, yeah, that is an issue. I was also able to install X2Go server and client. They both installed, they both look like they should work, but in the end, would not connect in either direction. So I couldn't use it as a server and I couldn't use it as a client. It just wouldn't work for whatever reason. I assume it's probably systemd related. Now, one of the most recent updates also caused an issue with the screen rotation in landscape mode, where it would only work while the device was upside down, but then the touch screen was the right way up. So yeah, that made things interesting for a little while, trying to get that turned off. Now I could fix that manually, but I just left it in portrait mode there. And then now during the show, it said that there was another update. So I ran the update and I rebooted, and sadly, all I get now after I put in the password and open it up is a blank screen. So I'm going to have to try for something else.
No. So wait, so it borked itself on update?
Two different updates, two different borks.
Oh, no.
See, like here, you can see the lock screen. So the lock screen is there, but then I bring it up, I put in the password, and then it just goes blank and stays that way. I can SSH into it, which is nice. So if I knew what was wrong, I could fix it that way.
Huh. Well, I guess that's not a big help when you want to actually use the phone.
Yeah. I could use it as a server.
Well, okay. I mean, that's not terrible, but
headless
still.
server.
Yeah, but what good is that?
It's not. But no, it was. I really liked Manjaro and its ability to drop down to the terminal and actually install full applications and be able to use them like a regular desktop. Now, limitations, of course, because it's a phone, but still, I was really, really liking how much more I got out of it with Manjaro than I was getting out of it with Ubuntu.
Well, heck yeah,
yeah, absolutely. I also want to say that on the Ubuntu, the phone would get hot and the battery would not last very long. I kind of expected that to be the case with all of the operating systems, but I really didn't get as much of a problem with that on Manjaro. So yes, if I was running something heavy, like watching something on Plex, then it would still get hot, but it wouldn't just regularly be hot. It was almost pocketable with Manjaro and not Ubuntu.
And Nishan asks about TLP. Is that even a thing on the Pine phone? Do you even do that?
TLP?
Yeah, so it's like, I forget what it stands for, but most laptops...
Yeah, it's a battery saver, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, okay, yeah, TLP. I did not install that, but I suppose that with Manjaro, I easily could. I just don't know how well it would interact. I mean... Right.
Because what it'll do is it'll like turn off Bluetooth when you're not using it, or turn off Wi-Fi if you're on wired or something like that. So it'll, it saves a watt here and a watt there.
Yeah, it probably could. But, well, the battery is at 75% now, and it's been unplugged for a good 12 hours.
Oh, well, cool. Hours. Then so it already does that then. Either TLP is already installed or they already have that figured out. I guess, yeah, what you might need to install something like Thermal D, where maybe it's just getting too hot and Thermal D will clock the CPU down so it'll at least chill it out a little bit.
But yeah, it was definitely getting a lot hotter and going through battery a lot quicker with Ubuntu than it has been on Manjaro. Now, I'll either try one of I'll see if there's any other Arch style builds that are available for the phone, or I'll see what I want to try next, or maybe I'll try and fix this one, but or start over with Manjaro if I can't find anything else that I like, and see if the updates don't brick it the second time around, because it also could have been something that I installed. I was trying different things out, so we'll see. Now, one of the other things I did over the last 2 weeks was I attended a virtual seminar on journaling. I really liked that seminar. I used to do a lot of journaling in the past, and I would love to get into it again. Granted, I've been saying that for like 20 years now. But it is getting harder to juggle all of my hobbies and responsibilities as it is. Still, I can't solder all the time, so maybe I'll take up journaling again.
Okay, I got a solution for you though.
Evenings or something.
So just pop open a terminal, hit Journal CTL, and that'll help you look at the internal journal.
Somebody else's journal. Yeah, it'll give me a lot to read. Okay. But I was able to finally design and print the case for that second Bluetooth adapter that I built out of an old set of headphones. It holds the device together very well, and while I do have a couple of redesigns in mind, they're really not necessary. The case doesn't require any glue. It's extremely secure on the body of the adapter, and it will allow me to repair anything that breaks on it. I can take it all apart and fix anything that needs fixing on it. The only thing that I really need to add at this point is a shirt clip of some kind, and that's not really difficult. I have a couple of designs for that already. All I'll have to do is print one of those out and glue it onto the back of that case. I really didn't want to glue the whole thing together into one piece because I really need to be able to take it apart if anything goes wrong with it, because it is a DIY build and who knows how long it'll last. So now, so that is my second one, and I'm really enjoying that one, but it is kind of huge. My son has been using the smaller one, the one that's like a hockey puck, like, except extremely thin. The Sony one that I made, and my one issue with that is it doesn't do pass through, so I can't charge it and use it at the same time. But it does work extremely well. It's the high quality device, and that one's all screwed together instead of gluing or casing or anything like that. We've been using it while we go on walks around the block so that we can be prepared for when we go on our hiking trips in a couple of weeks. So he's been really enjoying that. And well, I've been enjoying it too, because it gives me another opportunity to hang out with my son, listen to audiobooks, and go for walks. And that's kind of what I've been up to for the last couple of weeks. And I know Tony's been walking a lot more than I have.
500 miles.
Well, I think that's a slight exaggeration there, Leo. But yeah, I have been doing quite a bit of walking. So since the last show I was on, not the last show, but the show before, I missed it because I wasn't very well. I had a virus, and that took a little while to fully clear up. So I've not done an awful lot of stuff until I went on holiday last week. And we've actually been to the UK Lake District. We only live an hour and a half away from the Lake District here in the UK, which is great. And so we went up to Grasmere for a week's holiday, hired a little cottage so that we could do our own thing, either go out for meals or, prepare simple meals and stuff like that. And also prepare our own packed lunches or packed suppers when we were going walking. And we averaged around about 8 miles a day. We did nearly 60 miles in the week we were away, which was great.
Okay,
absolutely loved it.
So I added an extra 0. So what?
Yeah, well, we've done longer walks, but we've not done consistently walking every day for a full week, kind of thing, like that. So it was good. So the first day, I actually went out to a shop in Ambleside, just down the road from where we were actually staying in Grasmere, and spent what I could have bought a laptop, a nice good quality second-hand laptop, on a pair of boots, walking and hiking boots, and they are very good quality ones. But it was well worth it because we actually did some quite serious walking up side of quite steep hills, and one of the walks we did, we ended up at 1,000 feet elevation from.
Wow!
Yeah, so that was quite good. I enjoyed that. It was very steep on the way up, and it was even steeper on the way down because we came on a different route on the way down. So we decided next time we do that walk, we'll probably come up and go down on the same way that we come up. But no, it was good.
I guess that's one of those situations where you're halfway down and you're like, this was a mistake.
Actually, it wasn't too bad. If it had been wet and slippy, it would have been a lot worse going down. But because we were both wearing the proper gear, proper boots, we both had our walking poles and everything. It was manageable.
Well,
we just had to take it easy. But if it had been a wet and slippy day, it would probably have been probably more advisable to go down the other way. So while we're away, I actually managed to get Debian 11 installed as a dual boot on the laptop I took with me, but we're going to be discussing that in the innards, so I'll probably leave that to our next section. So what have you been up to, Leah?
I've been the really same. Things have been getting in the way of Linuxy stuff. So yeah, I've really gotten the chance to look into some keyboards. I don't need one. I really don't, but I want one. And so I've been looking for, I kind of want to change, right? I still want to stick with a mechanical keyboard of some kind, but I want to change in that I have used like the Apple Magic keyboard, and one of the things that I took away from them is like the keyboard is fine. It was just a switch keys, so it felt like a laptop, but that wasn't quite what I wanted. But the size of it was really nice. I enjoyed the fact that it was super thin and that the key travel was very light. I learned to type a long time ago on really, really crappy keyboards. I want to say they were mechanical, but I can't remember at the time that far ago. But, there was some force that you had to use. So, I got to the point where, I'm smacking keys or whatever. But little by little, especially...
No, that was just regular keyboards. They weren't mechanical, but nobody really cared.
Yeah, I mean, it could have just been really bad keyboards. That's totally possible. But... I think one of the things that I've gotten is like with the reds and black switches that I'm using now, you don't have to bottom out the key. You can go about maybe a third of the way down, and that key will actually, what's the word? Like it'll actuate. That's the word. So you press the K key about a third of the way down, and the K shows up on your screen. So you don't have to bottom the thing out, and that's where a lot of the noise comes from with mechanical keyboards. But anyway. So I want even less travel. Yeah, that trash. So what I really want, though, is the ability to have fully less travel altogether. And that's what these low-profile keyboards will do. I think you lose like 0.1 millimeter. I mean, so it's not a lot. But what my intention is to not ever fully bottom out the keys and kind of float and do the least amount of movement possible. So I don't know. I guess maybe that's efficiency. I don't know what that is. So anyway, there are a couple options.
You're looking for short throw keys.
Yeah, I mean, as short as I can get them with the least amount of noise possible, especially on the come up. So the other half of the noise that happens with a mechanical keyboard is those springs will pop your key back up. So if you take your finger off of it, I mean, there's a nice pop at the top of that. And I don't like that either.
Well, you can lubricate your keys.
Right, of course. But... the simple solution, I think, without having to take anything apart and, slip oil on things, is to just, if you go shorter, there's less room for that key to pop up, and there's less noise overall. So, I mean, obviously, lubrication will probably be the easier way to deal with that and not have to even think about it. But there are a couple options that I've found so far, and I would like to crowdsource this. If you have anything that matches the two keyboards that I'm looking at, so one of them is a Keychron K3. That's one of these. All right. So here's the other requirement. I can't have a 10 key. If I have a 10 key, what happens is my keyboard is the left part of the keyboard stays where it is, and that 10 key moves out to the right, which means my mouse hand has to go further out to the right to be able to have enough room to do what I need to do. And that adds pain to my shoulder. I don't know if that's because I'm old or because I have really bad mouse, like, what's the word? Like, just, I don't use the mouse well. I don't know what it is. But anyway. Technique. That's it. I have terrible mouse technique. That's possible. But the end result is after about 30 minutes, I'm in pain and I don't want to do anything. So, no. I need that 10 key gone. So at the very least, I need 10 keyless, which has, like print screen and the arrow keys and insert and home and all that off to the right. And that's fine. It's as far out as it goes. But this Keychron K3 has only one column to the right of the backspace key, to the right of the inner key. And that's actually preferable. So it's got page up, home, page down, end, delete, and a print screen. Okay, two things. On these small keyboards, I need two things. Number one, a dedicated print screen button. Dedicated, because I do a lot of print screens. I do a lot of images and things like that, and what I don't want to do is have to open up a menu and find Spectre or find the screen capture application. I don't want to do that. That's annoying. And the other is I can't have like the 60% ones that get rid of the F keys, because those keyboards get rid of the tilde as well. And then you have to do like those weird Mac ones where it's like Command Shift caps Control 1, 5, and 8, and then that's a tilde. Like, no, I don't want to do that either. So I need a dedicated tilde key and a dedicated print screen key, and this Keychron K3 has all of that. But I can't buy one.
Check out the Phantom L. I just posted it in the YouTube.
Phantom L. No, that's a car. Dan says, you're not old. I am. Dan, you're not that much older than me. Please. Techwear, Phantom L. Okay. I immediately don't hate it. Uh-oh, low profile. I like this. It's got a tilde key. Otemus. So, are they swappable?
They're supposed to be.
Ooh.
Shorter travel and actuation. Hold on, I'm looking.
And there's one additional thing, and I see there is software now. One additional requirement. The Keychron K3, all the Keychrons, have the software to change the lighting built into the keyboard itself, so you don't have to install some software on Linux or Windows or something to handle it. Is that what this software is?
This is hot swappable.
Customized per key RGB lighting. So, yeah, I think this is probably the killer for me right here.
Now, like with my RK100 that I have out in the garage, I can, from the keyboard, change the lighting layout. But then if I want to use the per key, I have to load up the software for it. So if I want like my WASD to be a completely separate color from everything else, I can do that.
Right.
But I have to go and build a custom lighting arrangement for that using the software that they give, and that's granted only Windows. But then I can go back to my Linux machine and it'll still be set up for that, but then on one of the memories that it has built into the keyboard, but then I can switch back and control the lighting scheme through any of the standard ones.
Got it. Okay. Oh, well, what? It's only $35? The red one is $50. I have Otemu Reds already, and I think they're too loud. I've put O-rings on the bottom. I haven't oiled them or lubed them or anything like that, but...
If you think your Otemu Reds are too loud, then yeah, they're probably bottoming out.
Well, no, actually, they're too loud on the come up. I've put O-rings on the bottom. They're very quiet on the way down. But on the way up is what I think is causing me the issue. But the low profiles may be different though, and they do have low profile Otemu Red, but $50. The Keychron is $75. Well, $85 if you want the RGB, which actually I do. RGB red. Oh no, they're Gatoron, not Otemu. So yeah, this is if I can't find anything in the time, this is probably what I'll get. The Keychron K3. But I was also looking at the SK630 Vulcan Death Grip keyboard shortcuts. I just saw that, Dan. Yeah. And so for about the same price, you get the Cooler Master SK630, which is similar. One nice to have is that the Keychron has the F1 key right above the 1 key, and it's great for gaming because I can do more F keys easier. But that's a nice to have. All of the F keys I have are over the F1 key is over the 2 key and all that.
You could go completely custom, and
I'm not doing that. That costs too much.
Yeah. In the end, it costs too much. Actually, this one here, just the PCB is $40, and that's a good start because then $30 for all of the switches, which I'll buy you a set of blues if you really want.
Oh God, no! I'll return to sender. Return to sender. Oh man.
But no, here, check this one out. I mean, that's a full-size keyboard, and it's hot swappable, programmable, and you can build it yourself. Granted, by the time you're done buying the back of the thing and the plate of the thing, and you'll be lucky.
Yeah.
If it doesn't cost $300.
Woo. Yeah. Throw me that link anyway. I mean, I'll like to drool at it, but I doubt I'll go that way.
I put it in the YouTube again.
Nice. Very cool. So, all right. Well, if anybody out there knows of a low-profile keyboard, mechanical, with red switches or actually any switch that's linear and quiet, let me take a look. I need a print screen key. I need the tilde key.
He's only interested in like blues and browns.
No.
Blues and browns.
No tactile, linear only, and quiet. All right. Well, anyway,
the louder the better.
Yeah. We'll wrap this section up, and that'll be it for our wanderings. Let's head down to the Linux innards. Debian. We've been testing Debian because I think my main motivation for testing Debian was to figure out what LMDE is going to look like a little bit. And
well, when I suggested this as the topic, let's face it is the granddaddy of Linux Mint.
All of them.
Because it's the daddy for Ubuntu, and Ubuntu is the daddy for Mint, so it's the granddaddy. So we got to look at it and give it a bit of kudos.
Yeah, well, it's the base for a lot of operating systems. It is extremely important, but it's also going to be extremely vanilla.
Yeah, which a lot of people like.
So vanilla that when I tried to turn off my machine the other day, I typed in power off in the terminal and was like, what's power off? What?
I'm going to be honest. I really didn't get an opportunity to install this on anything.
Tisk.
I did watch a couple of other people's reviews just so that I would be able to talk about something on the show today. And yeah, it is extremely vanilla. There's not a whole lot of extra added into it, but there shouldn't be with Debian. But one of the major things that one of the guys I watched was talking about was the fact that you can add flat packs, and that gives you everything that you need. So yeah, if I were to install Debian 11, the first thing I would do would be to add flat packs, and then all of the applications I installed would be Flatpak.
Yeah.
So they'd be up to date, and I'd be good to go.
I think right now you're okay without Flatpak. I mean, software just continues churning out, but I mean, Debian won't update it. They'll just do security updates as far as everything is concerned. But I mean, if you install everything through apt that's available to you now, you'll be okay for maybe like a month or two, or maybe even 3. But eventually you're going to start looking. I mean, for me, in my case, it would be, oh, look at that. Kdenlive had another release and I don't have it. Oh, look at that. Krita had another release and I don't have it. So I've been...
Some of the things that are already out there in it are already 9 months behind before when they released it.
Yep.
But that's not the point about Debian, is it?
Nope.
The point about Debian is it's rock solid. Obviously, with the with the free version, and free as in freedom rather than free as in beer, I'm talking about, where you may come across a few glitches, which I did. I'll talk about in a minute. I know, Leo, you went straight for the firmware ISO, didn't you?
Oh yeah, 100%. And Nishan even mentioned it in chat. He says his Wi-Fi card doesn't work on non-free, and I mean that's going to be the case for
and that was the issue I had as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just one thing that you have to be aware of. And so it was months ago that Debian had announced that they were going to put their non-free version of the ISO a little easier to find. I don't really find it very easy to find, but I mean, it's there if you look for it. And I mean,
it didn't take me too long to find it.
No, but I think the fact that unless you're installing it on a server or something with very, very known hardware, you're going to need the non-free one. So I really think it should be up at the top in big bold letters saying, hey, if you got like, I don't know, a computer, you probably need this one. So, but yeah, I mean, as Tony said, I mean, that was the first one that I went to just because I didn't want to have to deal with it. I didn't want to have to think about what modules I needed or anything like that during the install. It's like, hey, we found this hardware that doesn't have a module. Please insert the disk for the module. No, I just have it. Just let me install my thing and then we'll get out of there. So, yeah, I mean, the install was good. It was very nice, easy. I mean, it's exactly what you expect from Debian, super simple. And on the Saturday show, that was one of the big topics that we ended up talking about was Debian 11, how it worked. And so we had Nishant and Norbert come in and just kind of talk to me about it. And Josue in the chat was asking about some things that I encountered in other distributions as well. So in Chaos, I think it was, and in Debian 10, it seemed to me that sandboxing for app images was not up to snuff. Therefore, any app image that required a sandbox did not launch. And the only way you'd figure out that it didn't work, other than you double click on it and nothing happens, is run it through the terminal, and then it'll tell you, you know, sandbox error, can't create the sandbox, you probably need to install this and do this and do this. And it's like, But that was in Debian 10. So testing for Josue, I installed, or I downloaded the app image for Joplin in Debian 11, double clicked it, and it worked just fine. So whatever they did between Debian 10 and Debian 11, which is likely just update some software, things are working great, which means that the problem that I had on Chaos was Bitwarden. I couldn't get it to launch in the sandbox, so I had to install it over Flatpak. That would also work in Debian 11. So it seems like app images are going to work a whole lot better in Debian 11 as well. So that translates to LMDE whenever that decides to come out, when they get everything ported to Debian.
You say that. I had a problem with app image.
Oh no! What did you do? What happened?
Well, I haven't figured out how to resolve it yet. I only tried it today, and it wouldn't work.
What's
with
going
an app
on?
Image. Yeah.
What app is this?
Well, it was before I figured out how to install Zoom, so I went and downloaded the app image of Zoom, and it wouldn't work. Again, it might be something to do with the sandbox. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get it to work, and then I figured out the reason I couldn't get the Zoom client to install from the Zoom website was because GDebi wasn't installed.
Oh yeah.
And I installed GDebi, and it worked fine.
Yep, there it is. Right, that's it. So yeah, so basic Debian is that it doesn't even come with a Deb installer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I've got it in my notes. We kind of talked about it a little while ago, but I mean the whole firmware thing, get the non-free disk, because if you don't, and your network cards are involved in any of that, you get to revisit SneakerNet from back in the day. I guess sometimes SneakerNet still sneaks up on you, but yeah, that's it. But so after that Saturday show, over the next week, I tested Debian 11 on my ThinkPad T450S. And I mean, it's Debian. Like, well, what do you want from Debian, right? Why are you installing Debian and not one of the other flavors of Linux, right? So if you're installing Debian for its stability, well, that's still there. It's stable as a rock. Software is pretty new at this point. I mean, again, if you're looking for the latest and greatest, you're going to need Snap or Flatpak. But both of those things are available. Flatpak is there at version 1.10.2. And that included the, it's not compression, but I think it's the better downloading stats and downloading smaller packages in general, so Flatpaks tend to be smaller. That's there. And then if you want to go the Snapd route instead, 2.49 is available in Debian. So neither of those are going to get even minor revision upgrades. It'll just be security patches that you get. So be aware that if there's some new things in Flatpak or Snap that come out, you're not going to get those. Not until Debian 12, or maybe Debian testing or Debian SID if you want to get crazy with it. But yeah, I don't think that's recommended. So, Tony, how'd you get on with it?
Well, when it first came out, I bunged it into a GNOME Boxes installation using the free ISO, and obviously because it was in a virtual machine, that installed fine. One of the things with the stock ISO I find is they're still sticking like glue to their own installer with the stock ISO, and we were talking about the Mint website looking very 2000s. Well, the stock installer, if you're used to Ubuntu and Ubuntu derivatives and all that using Calamaris, it's looking very, very dated.
Yeah.
So if you're not used to using that particular installer and you're used to using Calamaris, then you might just get a bit of a what's this all about, kind of thing.
Well, if you're installing Debian, man.
Yeah, well, particularly when you come to the partition section, because it's not quite as straightforward as it is on Calamaris. But like you say, it's very stable. It installed well. Got it installed. It was working fine. Didn't do a lot of investigation with it because I wasn't feeling very well at the time. But then just before I went on holiday last week, I tried to install it onto my little Dell E6220, which is a Gen 2 i5 laptop that I've got. And again, I was using the free ISO, and the Wi-Fi issue came up. Couldn't get it installed.
Of course.
So I kind of, at that point, I was just about to go away on holiday. So I kind of gave up on trying to put it onto some hardware. But while I was away, I thought, in between all the walking, we did have a bit of chill time, and I thought, I'll download the Mate ISO with the firmware on it, and I downloaded that, and I did a dual boot on my E7 that I had with me.
That's a sign of a true nerd. I'm on vacation, but I'm gonna still tinker with Linux a bit.
Yeah, well, I was on holiday. I can do what I want when I'm on holiday.
There you go.
I've been on vacation specifically just to do tech stuff.
Yeah, good. So anyway, I had to play with it, and this time the Wi-Fi card worked. So I was able to install it because luckily I wouldn't have had a wire connection while I was away. I was relying on the Wi-Fi. And it installed fine. Calamaris was a bit refreshing because it was there. So that was good. I did, once I'd got it installed, I tried to install Zoom and came up with the issue that, like I just said, talked about. You've not got a Deb package manager. So I wasn't sure what was going on, but I did manage to find out that you can install GDebi. So I managed to do that. And I have managed to install Zoom that way first. But before I figured that out, I thought, I wonder if there's a Snap. So I installed Snapd. And then when I tried to install Snap Core, I got an error message saying it couldn't find the server that the core was on. So that didn't work. So I tried the app image, and that was when the app image wouldn't work. So then further investigation, I managed to download GDebi and get it to work that way. So that was a bit of a roundabout way to get one piece of software installed.
Right. So I wonder if I guess I'll try that too. So this is Zoom, the app image. What the way that I figured out that it was a sandbox on those other applications was that you run it through the terminal. So I mean, wherever you downloaded it, just / and then the app image, and it'll give you error text. If it doesn't open, it'll give you some kind of text or whatever. So I'll give that a go, and we'll talk about that a little bit more on Saturday.
Yeah, okay. On a positive note, on the Dell 6220, we were talking about this before the show. That machine had a Duff battery, and I mean totally no charge hold on the battery at all.
That's right.
Because I'd left it in the cupboard and for several months and not used it. And next time I switched it on, the battery was totally gone. So I've been running it on mains ever since, and the battery's never tried to charge or anything. But last night I was playing around with it after installing the Debian install on it, and I had a look down on the taskbar and noticed that there was a bit of life in the battery. I thought, I hovered my mouse over it, and it's saying it's 12% charged.
It's alive.
It's alive. So that was about 10:30 last night, after we'd been on, the Saturday chat.
The battery was just waiting for you to install its first love, Debian, I think. And it was like, okay, so I'll behave.
I put it to sleep and left the mains connector attached to it. And when I got up this morning, it was fully charged.
Woo!
And the battery's holding a 89% charge. And I've proved it's not a glitch in the software because I've been running it for an hour before the show off the battery. So it's not just saying that it's fully charged. There is actually a charge in the battery.
Right, and this is before where you would unplug it and it would die, right?
And it'd go dink.
Yeah.
It just crashed completely because there was nothing in there.
So maybe what it was when you took it. Is this this is not the one that you took on holiday, right?
No.
Okay. So it thought you left it for good during your holiday, and it was like, no, please.
I deserted it.
I'll even make my battery work. Come on.
So as we were talking last night, that's probably saved me 19 quid or $25, because that's what the batteries cost on Fleabay at the moment.
Fleabay,
for
I love
aftermarket one. So saved a couple of quid.
There you go. That's dinner right there.
Yeah, maybe dinner for one.
No, I guess if you're getting it delivered, man, that's about $15
if you go to Little
around here.
Caesars, that's like 4 pizzas.
Listen, they have expanded their repertoire of pizzas, man. They have like a thin crust pepperoni that's pretty fantastic now. By the way, if you're in the U.S., you probably know what Little Caesars is. It's probably some of the cheapest pizza that you can buy. I've always been fine with it, but now they have some pizza. They have a Supreme now. They have a thin crust pepperoni now, which is they're decent.
Hey,
man.
I have to custom order my thin crust Hawaiian. So, but that's really delicious, and a whole pie is like 2,000 calories, so I can wreck the whole thing.
So, I guess overall, this was more just like a preview look of what we're going to encounter with LMDE. I guess it would be 5, right?
Well, I wasn't using LMDE. I was using Mate. But you downloaded the LMDE, did you?
No.
Sorry. I'm thinking. Yeah, I know. I'm thinking of LXQT.
Oh,
no, you're talking about Linux Mint, aren't you? Debian edition.
Nope. And if Dan is still in the chat, his ears just perked up real hard. But I actually did Plasma. I should have done Cinnamon, but the reason that I didn't was because I don't think Debian has Cinnamon 5.0. So things would actually it would not be a real clear look as to what LMDE 5 is going to actually be, because there's been a lot of changes in Cinnamon since the freeze version of what Debian has of Cinnamon. So I didn't want to taint it. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, and also, even though it'll be based on Debian 11, right. Clem will still do a few things in addition, and there'll probably be a few things that are more up to date than they are on the main.
Right, and one of those things is going to be the current version of Cinnamon. So we'll have a later version of Cinnamon in LMDE than they do in Debian, just simply because, that's kind of the point. Is you
won't have to worry about firmware either.
All right. Yeah, there's no ambiguity with whether or not you get firmware on LMDE or not. You will get the firmware. That I think, to be honest with you, it's probably one of the better implementations of as pure of a Debian experience as you can get, because the stability is there. The things that might be weird on you is the desktop environment. But there have been a lot of fixes to Cinnamon that won't be there in Debian. So, in my opinion, if you want a Cinnamon Debian experience, LMDE is going to be the best way to do it, because there's going to be a lot of fixes that we have in the Ubuntu version of Cinnamon that just won't exist any other way. So, get it from the source, I guess, is kind of what I'm getting at if you're a Cinnamon person. But I don't think Mate and XFCE are going to get that same treatment. I think they're just going to use the versions that exist.
I think it's difficult for us to give it a really full review.
True.
Because none of us use it as our daily driver.
Of course.
But, just having a look at it for a few hours, over the last week or so, you can tell how it gives you that stable base for Mint and Ubuntu and all the other flavors that, all the other spins that use it.
Yeah.
And add to it.
Yeah, I think long story short, if you're an LMDE user, this is going to be a nice, needed, good, stable upgrade for you, and I think you'll enjoy it.
But the other thing you've got to remember is the server world. And the,
true.
And the fact, we're talking about you've not got any Wi-Fi, but how many server farms use Wi-Fi?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They're not worried about no Wi-Fi driver.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you want a very rock solid server install, you're going to get it with Debian.
Yeah, I think so, 100%. And then you just go slap Docker on it, and then you still get the latest and greatest, or Snap for the underpinnings for whatever server type software you're using. Because I'll do that with Git is a Snap at the moment, and my Nextcloud is a Snap at the moment, and that would work just the same on Debian. So maybe one day I'll get fed up with Ubuntu or something, and I'll move fully to Debian. That day is not today or tomorrow, but maybe one day.
I thought you'd have gone to LMDE first.
No. Well, for a desktop maybe, but if I were doing server things, I would probably just go straight
you're
Debian.
Talking about as your server of choice.
Yeah. But I do still enjoy Cinnamon. I think Plasma is a very, very close second. So yeah, I don't know what I would do if.
How long does Debian do security updates for on each release?
Don't quote me on this. I want to say 5, but
so they do. So even though it'll move to long-term support after the next release, there is a fairly good length of time before they stop giving security updates.
Yeah, I want to see if I can find it, because I know they have a thing. Let's see, Debian support. I want to see if they've got, because it might even be longer than that.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah, it looks like,
because obviously with Ubuntu on the long-term support, you get 5 years as standard, and then if you're in commercial world, you can actually buy longer support on top.
Right. So Debian 9 is currently in LTS, and I know it's not the Debian guys that actually do the support for this. They give it to somebody else, and then they handle it. I think it's more of a community thing.
Oh, right.
Anything. But it looks like the main support is 2 years. And if I'm reading this
it's
right,
usually around 2 years. But definitely main support doesn't end until the next release comes out. So if that's delayed.
Right. And so I want to say it looks like 6 years.
Wow.
So you get 2 and then it'll fall. Yeah, I guess so. This is not the easiest thing to read. What I'm looking at right now. Oh man. Anyway, so I'll dig up a little bit more on that, and we'll have an answer for you in a little bit. But yeah, I guess that does it for our innards. So LMDE is looking good. It'll shape up. They're gonna probably just take the Cinnamon that we're running on now and slap that on top of Debian 11, and then we'll have a full experience. It'll be good. All right.
Cool.
Well, in the meantime, let's head down to Vibrations from the Ether. I'm interested in this email, but I don't want to read it. So, when y'all want to take one?
I'll take this first one. Yeah. So this is from Henrik. He says, hello. I've heard you say words like Windows, Mac OS, BSD, and even Linux. But have you ever heard of Haiku OS? Would be interesting to listen to any opinion or knowledge of it. Well, I've definitely heard of it, but I can't say I've played with it much. He has given a link in his email.
All right, so I'm looking at it now. Haiku is an open source operating system that specifically targets personal computing, inspired by the BOS, B-E-O-S. Haiku is fast, simple to use, easy to learn, and yet very powerful.
Wasn't BOS trying to clone Windows originally? Kind of be a Windowsy clone and use some of the Windows
I know
kind of...
nothing about either one of those.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the name just like you, Tony, but I don't know much about this at all. I mean, they're hitting fundraising targets. Their 2021 fundraising is like $46 away from its $10,000 target, and we're not even all the way through 2021 yet. So it looks to me like there's a good group of community folks behind all of this.
Now, BOS was first developed in 1990, and it was positioned as a multimedia platform and a competitor to classic Mac OS and Microsoft Windows, but it did not get a good market share.
Okay, here we go.
So it wasn't trying to emulate either. It was just trying to compete with them.
No, yeah, and they've got some more information in their FAQ. So what is Haiku? Haiku is a fast, efficient, easy to use, and lean open source operating system inspired by the BOS that specifically targets personal computing. And another question is, where does the name Haiku come from? Haiku is named after the classical three-line Japanese poetry form. Haiku poetry is known for its quiet, power, elegance, and simplicity. And then further down, is Haiku based on Linux? Haiku is not a Linux distribution, nor does it use the Linux kernel. Haiku is a spiritual successor to BOS and is derived from the new OS kernel, which was authored by Travis Gieselbrecht, who was formerly employed by B Inc., the developers of BOS. So why not Linux? Linux-based distributions stack up software. The Linux kernel, the X Windows system, the various DEs with disparate toolkits such as GTK and Qt that do not necessarily share the same guidelines and or goals. This lack of consistency in overall vision manifests itself in increased complexity, in insufficient integration, and inefficient solutions, making the use of your computer more complicated than it should actually be. Instead, Haiku has a single focus on personal computing and is driven by a unified version for the whole OS. So this sounds to me like the same track that BSD is going down. So, I mean, that right, because everything in BSD is very slimmed down and specific, and these are the choices that we're going to make. And so you can decide to make some other choices or whatever. I mean, especially as GTK and Qt go, because, I mean, you can run Plasma or you can run GNOME on top of a BSD. But I think tight integration is what BSD is about, and then Haiku just takes that one step further and says, here you go. Here's the whole thing, all of the things.
A bit like Apple do with Apple OS. You've got it, and that's it.
Now, this sounds like more of a topic for Distro Hoppers Digest than it does for mintCast.
Probably get Dale to run it.
Well, I think we could shunt it into mintCast by saying, hey, let's run Haiku and see if we can get Zoom going. And then this is why we use Linux Mint.
And
instead.
If we do, we're doing better than we did on Debian.
Yep, that's it, man. If you can beat Debian, that's a pretty tall order, though. Yeah, so Dan says BOS was great, but sadly didn't catch on. He used it way back when for a bit, like BSD, but focused on a desktop experience. So this is, I guess that is Haiku, and that's what Pro Bono PD. I can never remember the guy's name, but that's his Twitter handle. He's doing Hello System, which is on top of BSD. It's a very Mac-like experience. I would really kind of compare it to Elementary OS. It doesn't have the polish on it, but that's kind of the vibe they're going for, and very, I guess, like Mac 10.4. I think that's really kind of what it seems like they're going for. But yeah, it's just it seems to be pretty decent. I don't know. I mean, I would spin it up. At the very least, it'd be worth a trial in a VM or something. But I do wonder. I mean, yeah, it looks like, is there an instant messenger client? And none of them are ones that I'm familiar with. IRC has Vision, Quassel, WeChat, and ERC. For Matrix, there's Quaternion and Neko, and XMPP, Renga, Kaya, and Vacuum. Those might be available on Linux, but I don't know if those were made for Linux rather than just, written in C or Rust or something and imported to. But
yeah,
interesting.
Most of it's probably ports.
Yeah, I mean, because you got LibreOffice. LibreOffice is available in the Haiku Depot. What is the Haiku Depot? Oh, that's the wrong area. Haiku Depot. Yeah, the package manager. Yes, Haiku comes with a powerful package management system. Makes it easy. Applications are distributed as package files, which can either be installed from Haiku Depot or downloaded directly from websites. So it sounds to me like the package style is like a DMG in Mac and like AppImage in Linux, where it's all just in one package. Huh. Pretty interesting. I mean, it's worth a look. Henrik, it's worth a look. I'll take a look. I don't know if I'll come back with anything positive, but I'll take a look. That might be something else we can do on the Saturday show. Just tinker around with this and learn a little bit more about this, because this FAQ is massive. It would take forever to get through it. But yeah, it's a topic for a Saturday show, just to kind of faff around and see what's going on.
Well,
with
if nothing else, we could run it in a virtual machine, couldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
All right, I'll take this next one from Hank, and he's talking about pies here. I love these little things. I'm astonished that I can hold an entire headless PC in the palm of my hand and which can run full-blown Linux, complete with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Thank you for reminding me that there are multi-boot options. I need to look into those. My version of multi-boot is a collection of SD cards and old retired cheap SSDs. I much prefer to run the Pi 3s and Pi 4s from an SSD. The Pi 4s have been troublesome in this regard, and I'd like to share what I learned about this. I really don't like to use powered hubs. There is the potential problem with backfeeding through the USB 3 connection to the hub. I really wish the Foundation had configured the USB-C for both data and power. Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah.
And I also want to mention that I do know about the backfeeding problem, and I do use a powered hub. But the backfeeding problem has, while it has sometimes made things difficult to power down the Pi, I've never noticed any other problems than that. He goes on to say, to the point, I have discovered some SSDs work without difficulty directly connected to the USB 3 and using the UAS driver. And some won't even boot. The ones that don't work include Crucial MX100 and Samsung Evo models. The ones that do include the Inland Micro Center House brand 120 and 240 gigabyte SSDs.
Man, you guys are so lucky. You guys are so lucky being so close to a Micro Center. Apparently, Hank is close enough to get there. God,
yeah,
I'm so jealous.
Yeah. It's nice being able to walk in and pay $20 for 120 gig SSD.
You shut your mouth, Joe.
It's great. Maybe I'll go and do it right after the show and send you some pictures.
Yeah, you will.
At least you guys have got Micro Center. We don't have it over here.
Well, everybody can come visit me, and we'll all swing through Micro Center.
Much better.
Just wear your masks. And an old Seagate 600, 240 gigabyte SSD. The ones that work are not noted for stellar write performance. I believe those that provide better performance also require more power to achieve this. Those faster drives work fine with UAS disabled on the USB 2 ports on the 4B and on the 3B models. Incidentally, the 240 gigabyte Inland does show decent write performance plugged into my Intel desktop and benchmarked with GNOME disks, and they're cheap. I get them through Amazon, as Micro Center is about 40 minutes away and is a very dangerous place to visit.
Oh, okay. So there's a caveat to his
yeah,
Micro Center visits.
You can things online from Micro Center, and he gets the
I would have
inlands
thought
through
the
Amazon.
danger is you need to hide your wallet when you walk in through the door. Is it?
No,
well, I need to let my wife hold on to my wallet when I walk in. That's the difference. Yeah. I'm running Home Assistant on a Pi 3B and inland 120 gigabyte SSD, and it normally uses about 3% CPU and reports more than half the RMA free. I'm also running an MQTT broker, Mosquito, on the same Pi and an MQTT client that saves all traffic to an SQLite database so I can look back someday.
That's me. I'm like, give me all the stats. I'll never look at them, but give them to me anyway.
Do you know off the top of your head what MQTT is? I don't know.
I don't. Let me see.
Yeah, I like having the ability to, look up data later on.
Oh, it's like for communication with IoT things.
Okay. So he's recording all of the messaging.
Bidirectional communications, scales up, support over unreliable networks, but reliable message delivery and all secured. So yeah, it's controlling your IoT devices with messaging. Cool.
Cool. And no, Pi content won't ever chase me away.
And that was to you. That was to you because you were saying that too much Pi content might scare people away. But I figure most folks are like Hank. I mean,
well, I got more planned for the future. I've already got my next project in line. So
well, most folks are have a Pi or are Pi adjacent, as in they know somebody that has a Pi. So, I feel like there's always a Pi in the corner gathering dust that needs some loving. And maybe these shows help with that.
I'll hang my head in shame. I've got several.
Yeah, so do I. Don't feel bad. No, I've got a Pi 1 that hasn't been put into production in a while that I need to do something with. I've got at least 2 Pi 0Ws that I need to do something interesting with. I've got my Pi 4, but I'm using that right now. And yeah, there's also a 3B that was hooked up to my son's little handheld, but he broke the screen on it. So I'll be reclaiming that one. And I think it also has a 128 gig micro SD card in it. So I'll probably pull that and find something else to do with it. Now, he goes on to say, I should also look into Pixie Boot. But my file server is on a LAN separated from an IoT. LAN and devices on the IoT LAN are not allowed to connect to the home LAN.
Smart man.
Hey, if you get Pixie booting working, tell me all about it. I will even invite you on the show to come and talk about it if you get Pixie boot working correctly. I mean, seriously. You can come and talk on the show and tell us all about how you set it up and how awesome it is, and then walk me through all the steps.
Put him on the spot like that.
Hey, you want on the show, this is how you do it. I've run benchmarks including DD, FIO, IOZone, and Bonnie++ to verify that the SSD will play well under load. I also keep a terminal open in an SSH session so it doesn't disappear if the Pi crashes, running dmessage tac follow, so I can see if there are any problems with the SSD. Thanks again. Now, that is a really cool setup, and I love hearing about it. I mean, if you want to come on and sometime and talk about Pis, Hank, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't think. I mean, well, anything you can do on a Pi, you can technically do on any other version of Linux. So, I mean, a Pi show is really just a Linux show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, with a low-powered Linux show.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, it was I know there's lots and lots of different things that'll run on a Pi now, but when it first came out, it was pure Linux, wasn't it?
True. By the way, that's a whole new show. Low-powered Linux show. That's it. So you run Pis or you run the banana thing.
Yeah, but then you get into the argument of what qualifies as low power. Does a Pi count as low power, or are we talking like MSP 430 low power?
I mean, I would imagine if it uses less than about 25 watts or so to power an entire machine that may run more than one instance of Linux, that would qualify. But to be honest with you, it would be whoever makes low-powered Linux show. It would be their decision.
We'll make an Arduino show.
Hey, see, but that's it's still in the same vein. It's still low-powered. It's still that same kind of idea. I'd say do it. Yeah, that'd be good.
We'll make an Intel Edison show. Do they still make the Edison?
I don't know. And then the Jetson, the NVIDIA Jetson would count, I would say. Because it is a little single board, just single board computing in general would probably be it.
So we're going to take over Flying Rich's old show, the single board computer show.
See? All right. Well, the next mail is from Raphael. He says, "Hello, guys. In KDE Dolphin, there's a feature called Open Externally Opened Folders in New Tabs. Sources 1 and 2, those sources didn't come over. I'll make sure when I publish the show notes that those are there. But it goes to Nate Graham's blog, and it basically talks about, well, he gets into it. So the idea is to open a new tab rather than a new window when a window is already opened. I want this feature on Linux Mint, Cinnamon, each time a USB device is inserted. And I did go and test this, and I was like, okay, let me open up a window, files window, Nemo, and plug in a flash drive, and then a whole new window opens up. So what he's talking about is he wants that second window not to open up at all, but open up in a tab in the existing window already. So anyway, Raphael says, is it a good topic for the show? How to formulate a good feature request, getting support for the idea, finding funding, a developer to work on it. What do you think? It made me realize that I was lacking some history of KDE and Linux Mint. There's no KDE version today, and I understand there won't be. One existed, though. What happened? This would interest me. Keep up the good work. So there's a few different things in there. Number one, Nate Graham is pretty fantastic. He keeps up with all of the KDE goings on. I forget, it's something like Pointy Stick or something like that is his blog. Were you going to say something, Tony?
Yeah, I was just going to say about the KDE version. I think part of the problem with KDE is because it's Qt based. It was a slightly more complex process to create the ISO rather than the Mate, Cinnamon, because they were all GTK based. So they had a lot of things that were, similarities. Whereas when you're going over to KDE, you're going over to a whole new base system, which made things a bit more complex. And I think that's probably one of the reasons they decided it was getting to be harder work, and the resources could be used a lot more, a lot more efficiently elsewhere, concentrating on the other system.
I think that's pretty much all true. I would be interested in kind of the history of how that happened and why. I bet you money. Clem publicly talked about it at some point when the ISO was dropped, and that was back in Linux Mint 18, I think. Maybe it was a transition to 19. That's when we no longer had a KDE version. But it would be interesting to know when, why, and how. Like have actual Clem's words on that to kind of get some clarification. But I think you're right. I think, Tony, in general, you're pretty much spot on with all of it. It's a whole separate stack. A Qt stack versus the GTK stack, and I bet you money that's exactly why we don't have the KDE version. Though I do agree with you, Raphael. If there were a Linux Mint Plasma again, I would probably drop Cinnamon for it. I mean, yeah, probably would. I think the fact that Cinnamon is the way that it is right now on Linux Mint, that's what's keeping me here. But if there were, if Linux Mint decided to drop Cinnamon or something like that, I would too. They're the reason I like Cinnamon the most. So without them, I would probably just gravitate back over to Plasma again. But to your other question, the feature request, I looked it up. GitHub feature request Linux Mint. You just go to their GitHub, and let me see, right here. I'm going to put this link in the show notes. We need to have this so I can have it for you, but it's right here. So in their troubleshooting guide, they have a question. It's an FAQ kind of style. And it says, can ideas or feature requests be submitted? The answer is yes. So out of the FAQ, they say, yes, absolutely. GitHub issues aren't necessarily bug reports. So you'll be submitting a GitHub issue. goes on to say, they can also be ideas or feature requests. When submitting an idea or a feature request, try to indicate this in the issue title so that it's immediately clear to developers that they're not looking at a bug report, right? So the idea is to don't make it look like it's broken, but do make it look like this is something that you would like to see in the future. So, really quickly, they basically go on to say, don't worry, we're going to close it. That GitHub issue will be closed, but it's not that we're ignoring you. It's that we're basically going back to the drawing board on this particular feature and putting everything together and finding out whether or not it's implementable, and if it is, it'll likely come up on the roadmap. So you'll just have to kind of keep an eye on the roadmap. So that's really the idea. If you're familiar with GitHub, open an issue on Cinnamon, or on Nemo, I guess it would be, and see if you can't express exactly what you want there, especially because Nate Graham already kind of describes that type of functionality. Just, I would say, copy and paste what he said. Make a note that it's from Nate Graham over on KDE Plasma Land, and just let him know that you want to see that. And hopefully something like that will organically sprout up. I gotta say, I prefer a second window to pop up. In my opinion, I like it, a second window, because I drag and drop between my already existing window and the second window that pops up. I feel like it's more, it's better for me anyway, because if it opened up in a tab, I would quite likely just drag that tab out and open up a separate window with it anyway. All right. Well, that does it for our vibrations from the ether. Let's head down to check this out. Nishat made a good point, and I was reading the chat as the music was playing. We do have LXQT, so there's got to be more to it then. There's more to Plasma than just QT versus GTK. So that's something, okay, that's just another reason why we need to bring up the history about that and why we don't have a KDE version, because I would like one. But, if that never happens, then Cinnamon it is. Anyway, so check this out. I had one software. So I've been using a lot of Kdenlive. I've been dealing a lot with multiple videos, and editing them and all that kind of stuff. I still use Audacity quite a bit. But there's some changes in OpenShot that kind of make me wonder whether or not that workflow would be better, different, awesome. I don't know. But OpenShot 2.6 was just released, and in that version, they have better tracking support in the timeline, making it easier to identify and zoom in on parts of the video. Sometimes Kdenlive will get to this point where I have the thing selected. Like, my line is on the timeline, and when I control scroll up to zoom in, it zooms in on the front of the video. Why? I don't know why it does that. I don't need it to do that. There was no indication that I wanted it to do that at all. I have my cursor over here. So, I don't know. I'll try out OpenShot just to see what's going on. I think, honestly, my biggest issue is that I'm editing a 2-hour video. But additionally, there's camera stabilization. So if you're like me and, you shake your foot a lot while you're talking or doing stuff, right? Like I have these things that I do. I don't know. I don't know why I do them. They're tics, I guess. But, I'll shake my hands, or I'll shake my feet, or I'll do something because focus, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that will get this camera right here to shaking. And in OpenShot, it'd be really cool to get camera stabilization on that. And so, basically the video image just kind of moves with the camera to keep everything nice and stable in the actual final edit, which is really kind of cool. And there's also tracking and object detection. So, as a face walks by, you can get tracking detection on that. So this is a face, and it kind of tracks that. The image that they have on the OpenShot release video is of cars, buses. Is it a car, is it a bus, whatever it is. That's really, really cool. And then they've added some, and this is what got me to thinking, like, maybe I could translate the workflow over to OpenShot, because I already do my audio editing in Audacity, and then I bring that into Kdenlive. And that's fine. I don't mind doing that at all. But now OpenShot has compressor, delay, and echo. So among some other really cool things, but compressor. That's the big thing that I have to do in Audacity before I can bring it over, is get all the audio normalized, Try to reduce as much of the junk in the background that we don't need, and then give a nice consistent compress on all of that stuff. So me, Tony, Joe on the show are all pretty close in volume, right? So when someone screams, that gets pulled down, and when someone whispers, that gets pushed up a little bit. That's compression. And now OpenShot has something like that. So I'll tinker around with it. I'm curious about it. But they don't have a noise reducer. And that's the thing. I need a noise reduction software. And to be quite honest with you, Audacity's noise reduction is probably one of the best in the business. I don't care if you pay $100 for it. Audacity's is way up there as far as pulling out things that you don't want. It's fantastic. So OpenShot, Tony, you said you've played with OpenShot. Maybe just a quick.
I've used it a little bit. I started posting little videos of some of the models that I've restored on YouTube, and I stick them into OpenShot just to get them going. But nothing really complex. I have stitched a couple of videos together using OpenShot, and then exported them out.
Yeah, I've done some simple editing like that. Just stitch some things together, do a quick fade here and there. But I've never actually done the type of work that I do in Kdenlive in OpenShot. So it might be worth a try just to see if I can kind of get similar, I guess just a similar result out of that. That would be really nice.
As I said to you last night when we were having a chat, it's one of those things that you've really got to play around with for a few hours.
Oh yeah.
And start with simple stuff and then go on to more complex stuff. I now class myself as reasonably proficient using the GIMP, but when I first started, it was very, very basic stuff, maybe crop, and things like that, maybe scaling up photos. But nowadays, I do quite more complex stuff, and start actually editing the photo, down at the pixel level, even on some occasions to create things, but. With OpenShot, it's another learning curve, and I think you need to give these things time to learn how to use them properly.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, that's the main thing. Take your time. These things are not simple softwares. They do a lot of work. They can do, real down nitty gritty stuff. So, if you're gonna try it out, give it some time. Do multiple videos on it. I think it'll be good no matter what.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for the show. Hey, we're done. But I got a couple announcements outside of the new regular announcements. And the first one is, if you had issues getting to mintcast.org over the past few weeks, I and Josh Lowe were fighting a little bit. There were some issues with billing, even though we were all paid up. So thank you to Josh Lowe for wrangling all of that for us. I guess I was mostly doing the panicking, and Josh was doing most of the work. But that was it. So he got things sorted out on the back end. The site came back up, and yeah, we're good to go. What was funny about that is that the site came up in about 6 hours before we were due to release the next episode. So talk about coming in right under the wire, man. That was that was a close one.
And it's taught us a lesson about backing up strategies.
Oh, yeah. So I didn't have automatic backups set up before, and so that got me to finally set up automatic backups. Just in case we had to migrate somewhere else. I had backups, but yeah. Now I have better backups. Anyway, next is weighs a little on my heart, right? I'm going to be stepping down as host for the foreseeable future, starting with episode 272. So that's not now. That's not this episode. That's not the next episode or the next episode, but the episode after that. So 273, I will likely not be on. And so here's the deal, though. I don't plan on leaving mintCast. I just cannot do the weekends anymore. So what I'll be doing, though, is working more on the production side on all of that. So I do plan to, if I've got free weekends, I do plan to come on the show. And same for the Saturday show, live stream as well. I don't mind taking on the mantle of running those if I need to or anything like that. And of course, I'll still be here for audio editing. Owen still does that for us, but especially right now at the beginning of a semester, Bo and I kind of shared the editing last episode. So yeah, I mean, I'll still be there as a backup for that, and of course, putting together the show, like the production stuff. I can still, as I go throughout the weeks and I notice news and things like that, fill that stuff out, and topics for the shows, things like that. Yeah, so really, this is just one less host most of the time is really the only change that's going to be happening as this goes.
Well, that basically leaves me and Tony as the regulars at this point. But so I think the plan for now is for me to take over as the primary host, at least for a while. I don't know if I have the personality for it, but I'm going to give it a shot for a while. And we will be trying to probably bring on some new blood with some new ideas.
Ooh,
and maybe somebody will take over that primary for me. Now, I did ask Matt from Libre Quest, and he did say he would like to join, but he doesn't have the availability right now. So we'll see what happens in the future with that.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. So, so is that a general call to arms? Can we say that?
Yeah.
Oh, I think so. And let's face it, it's very difficult to remember that it's 3 years since Rob and Isaac put out that shout to say they needed to lay it down for them. The 3 or 4 of us stepped up to the plate, and we've been doing the show for nearly 3 years. And it makes me appreciate how long Rob did it for.
Oh, wow. Right. Yeah.
There's a reason that Leo wants to go to episode 272.
There is. I was about to say it too.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so we were looking at, Moss, before he took his extended hiatus, had put together for us an Excel spreadsheet of pretty much every episode that every particular host has ever been on, and so we had a running tally for everybody. And so Joe and I, turns out, never missed an episode. Not one. So the cool thing about that is Moss left off at 67. We added on the new episodes that we had done, and the 3 episodes, including this one, so 2 more episodes after this one that I will be doing, and that will tie me. It won't win me yet. It'll tie me with Joe Ressington. So Joe Ressington.
So like right after you leave, I'm going to ask Joe Rez if he wants to come back.
No,
for like a
don't do that.
Run.
No, and then I'll have to keep coming back to keep my number higher. So here's my plan. Okay, I will be stepping down as the main host, but I have to make it back for at least 1 extra episode. At least there will be more, but at least one.
Every time Joe appears as a guest. Host.
Yes. I will come back, and then I will say it every single time. 1 more episode than Joe Ressington. 2 more episodes than Joe.
So Joe, if you're listening, there's your opportunity to come in and keep ahead of Leo.
It'll be a battle. It'll be a battle. All right. So general call to arms, I would say, if you are interested in any way, hosting or being a part of the show, even in a kind of a background capacity, please email mintcast@mintcast.org or join Telegram, the Matrix group, or the Discord, and just let us know that you're interested in doing all of that. Now, I will recuse myself from any decisions as far as, bringing on people or not, because soon enough I won't be, and I say head of the show, but it wasn't. It just, I talked the most. That was really it. But, because of my stepping down, I don't want to make those decisions anymore. I just want to support. So, I'll basically give the thumbs up to anybody. So I'll leave those decisions to Tony and Joe, and if Josh and Bo still want to do the hosting and all that kind of stuff, to them as well. So
let's say to the audience though that Leo is being very, how shall I say, deprecating of himself, because without Leo for the last two and a half years, the live show probably wouldn't have continued, and
Well,
all the
wouldn't have
changes
expanded the way that it has. Yeah, the changes, the
all the
improvements.
changes that we've done, and moving over to video to a video live stream and all that. A lot of things have come out of what Leo suggested, and I think we need to give him a bit of kudos for that because I'm sure. Let us know what you think about some of these changes and whether you've enjoyed them as well. Because we'll be talking a bit more maybe on full-time show about some of that.
Definitely so. It'll be an ongoing conversation, I think.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, by the way, for all of that. It's pretty fantastic. I do appreciate it all. Anyhow, so on to the regular announcements. Our
hold on.
What?
Nishant on the chat wants to join us. He wants to try hosting. We knew that he would when we were discussing this yesterday.
Yeah,
so.
Nishant, I have to admit, your name came up yesterday. Just, thinking about people that would be chomping at the bit to do this. So, yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
I tell you what, we usually do an interview episode, and we don't have a topic picked next for next time. So I guess we could do Nishant.
Okay,
that would be cool.
We'll talk more in Discord about that. I know Nishant's there. We'll get that all set up. That'd be cool. All right. Well, the regular announcements are, of course, next episode 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time on Sunday the 19th, September 19th. And the next live stream is going to be Saturday, September 11th at 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time. So in the show notes, go get those links for the time conversion for your time zone.
I might be on the Saturday show.
Woo! And we're going to be doing haiku, man.
I have to be. I have to be on the Saturday show. No, because we're doing something else.
Oh?
Yeah,
you're giving me a lesson.
Stuff.
A lesson on how to set up all the live stream and everything.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I could totally do that for sure. And then if we have time, we'll do some haiku. I'm curious about the haiku thing. I really am. All right, so so that'll do it for the show. Joe, where can we get more of you?
Well, you can catch me on a couple of my other podcasts. I'm on the Linux Link Tech Show, which you can find at tllts.org. I'm on the Linux Lugcast, which is linuxlugcast.com. You can find me on MeWe, or you can send me an email, jb@mintcast.org.
And Bo's not here this time, but you can get him at undercastnetwork.com or find him on the Undercast Collective over there on YouTube's. And Tony.
Yeah, you can listen to some of my old Hacker Public Radio podcasts. So I'm host ID 338 if you pop along to HPR. I'm on Twitter, TonyH1212. I'm th at mintcast.org, or you can get me on distrohoppersdigest@gmail.com.
And Josh Hawk's not here, but Josh on Tech at mintcast.org, at Josh on Tech on Twitter, and most other social sites. Including Crowbar Kernel Panic. And one other thing that we forgot to mention in the announcements, though, is that Mike as well let us know that he has familial obligations and will not be returning to the show. But as for me, LeoChavez.org and at LeoChavez on Twitter, at Leo@c.im on Mastodon, or, of course, LinuxUserspace.show. That'll keep happening.
Just let's say we will miss Mike.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes, we will. Before we leave, we want to make sure to acknowledge some of the people who make mintCast possible. Mike, for all of the shows that he has been on thus far. Owen Peary for our audio editing. Josh Lowe for all of his work on the website. Hobstar for our logo. InitRD for the animated Discord logo. And Londoner for our time syncs. Bytemark Hosting for hosting mintcast.org and our Mumble server. Archive.org for hosting all of our audio files. And, of course, the Linux Mint development team for the fine distro we love to talk about every fortnight. Thanks, Clem.
Thanks, Clem.
And Co.
Yay.
Yay.
I thought you were going to read it.
Okay, I always skip it because I never took it out of the template, and Mike put like Mike I'm awesome or something, and so I just saw Mike and skipped it. I would have read it had I known you made some changes to it.
Yeah, I made a change.
Mike for being lame.
we need to take out the HPR because we're no longer part of their...
I know.
Yeah, they cut us off. They cut everybody off because nobody was using it anymore.
It wasn't
so it's
just
understandable. It was everybody.
It was everyone. I think they've rehosted the server or something, haven't they?
Yeah, and they did call out like, hey, if you want a server, let us know. But we decided we tend to use Discord now. We have our Mumble on Bytemark as a backup. So this way, this will free up space on their server for them to do their own thing.
And I'm pretty sure any of us can toss up another Mumble if we really, really need to at the last minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we appreciate the offer and the availability, and I sure hope they have the information out for the New Year's show this year.
Yes.
Oh, they will. I'm
sure
absolutely. That's not going to go away.
We'll absolutely put that part in the show as well. They tend to ask us to do that, and we always oblige.
Yeah. Well, we're still part of the HPR community because you know they're one of the longest running shows out there, and it's all part of the geek community, isn't it?
Yep. Man, oh man, oh man. 3 years. 3 years.
369.
Yes, this is 369.
369. Yeah, like I said, there is a folder up there on.
Yeah, Joe. Don't go making more folders.
I'm exporting. Hey, that wasn't my fault last time. After I did.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, you made yours after I made mine. Either that or we were making them at the same time.
Yeah, I think probably at the same time because I did look and I couldn't find one.
Yeah, same here. mintCast.
I think I heard thunder out there. We might be getting.
I see once again. Today. I see 368. 369's all the way at the bottom. That's why I can't find it. It should be at the top.
It was Joe's fault.
Yeah, it was. It appeared at the top when I created it, but for some reason it doesn't always show in the same place for everyone else.
All right.
Right, exporting mine.
Apparently, I closed the YouTube window, so I can't kill the live stream yet.
Oh dear.
Oh no, I mean I can't.
Happy birthday, Nishant. Oh, on January 1st, it's your birthday.
Really? At the turn of the year?
On Nishant for Nishant.
Wow.
Whoa, cool.
That's cool. Well, happy way early birthday.
Hey, Nishant, if you want to review KVM on the show in 2 weeks, that's fine too.
Also true.
You can talk about whatever you want to during your interview.
Yeah. So yeah, one of the but I don't think Joe the OBS stuff will take very long. I mean, really, like what? 20 minutes tops? I don't do anything special.
We can find other stuff. Oh, that? Yeah, we can find other stuff to talk about next Saturday. That's fine.
Well, no, really, just because Hank was talking. No, not Hank. Henrik was talking about haiku, and that got me interested.
And I now won't be the person that needs to get to bed because Nishant will be. By the time the show finishes, it'll be nearly 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So anyway, I'll put a tweet out. I'll pin a message on the Discord and
see who else wants to jump on. Maybe we can get Dustin on. He lives close by me.
That's cool. Really? Does he? Oh yeah. I remember y'all were sending stuff back and forth.
Because I mail him stuff all the time. Well, not anything in the last couple of months, but yeah.
Heck
cool.
Yeah.
He's mailed me a couple things. I mail him stuff.
Joe?
Huh?
Yours is already in the folder.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. That was quick.
I have a really, really good internet connection. What do you want me to say?
Yeah, my upload speed's only about 10 meg.
Woo! I think mine's 40. Not great. But I have a gig down, so that's fine. Man, we'll have to do some website refixing. We never got an about from Mike. Oh,
no, we didn't, did we?
Moss is technically retired too. Tony Watts is definitely retired. Who are we missing? Josh. Yeah, Josh Hawk. Bo never did one, but Bo's one of the old hosts, so that's his own fault. He never wrote one. I think we never actually asked Josh for one. So, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff I still plan on doing, man. If unless y'all want to do it, I'll take care of the website, make updates, things like that.
Oh, that'd be great. No.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we can get Moss back for a few episodes.
I bet you could.
I'm sure we can at some stage.
I think Moss's main complaint was the Saturday thing, but I feel like you don't have to be there for that. You don't come to whatever you want to come to.
I've missed more of them than I've missed of the actual podcast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
I've missed plenty of the Saturday shows. And if I have something interesting that I want to do on the Saturday show, I'll get on and I'll do it. If I have family stuff, I'll go do family stuff. That's a nice thing about the Saturday show.
But even before it was the Saturday show, when it was our kind of planning show
meeting
in between, I miss more of them than I miss the actual show.
Yeah.
Well, the only point of that Saturday show was just a meeting to, if we hadn't really found a topic yet, or we needed to figure out something that we were going to do, like rearrange the show, or who was actually going to be able to be on.
Yeah. So Nissan says Leo retired or hiatus. I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah, semi-retired is what I said. Semi-retired.
It's okay. I've thought about stopping a couple of times just because of how much time it actually takes up.
Yeah, I mean it does.
And doing several other podcasts. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Joe, you're unique in that you're on at least 2 others, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
well, you're on another one, Leo.
Just one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm well, the last 2 the last show of Distro Hoppers, I wasn't there at all. I just did the editing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you used to do BDL as well.
Yeah, I would.
Both of you.
Yeah, I would try to get on there when I could. I haven't in a while. And
not only
that was more of a love than a podcast.
Yeah,
right.
There's so many people on there that it's really hard to, zoom in on a topic.
Yeah. I mean, as it was at its height, it was 20, 25 people on there, so it's hard to get a word in sometimes. But I mean, it was more of a hangout, right? It was more of a hangout than it was someone trying to push a point or something like that. It was
that's Linux Lugcast,
right?
Mostly that's just a hangout, and we talk about random topics, whatever comes up, whatever we feel like at the time.
Yeah, that's just kind of what that Saturday show has become.
You're even worse
because
you don't record on Linux Lugcast. You don't even start your thing until 9 p.m., do you?
Oh,
so it'd be even later for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, by that point, it might be early for you. It's 8 p.m. my time, but yeah.
Is it 8 p.m.?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that's a little more.
Yeah, it's 9 p.m. Eastern, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it starts at 2 a.m. my time.
Yeah, but the
usually
big thing
goes
that's
till like 11 or something.
Yeah, the big thing that's holding me back as far as mintCast goes is just that my daughter's older now. And I'm trying to spend more time with her, and the weekends tend to be the time that I get the most time to do that. So, yeah, I mean, at least for now, when she's 11 or something like that, and she doesn't want to hang out with Dad anymore, then I'll be back. I'll probably be back.
But the thing is, Leo, podcasts are flexible. Look at the amount of podcasts that started up over the last 10, 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
And how many of them are still going.
Yeah.
Linux Mint is, the mintCast is one of the outliers in that sense, isn't it? You could probably put, on one hand, you can name 4 or 5 podcasts that are still going after that length of time.
Mm-hmm.
This is one. Ubuntu podcast is another.
Linux Link Tech Show.
Yeah. How long's Slugcast been going on? Is that fair number?
Not as long. No.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of years now.
Going Linux is probably another. That's
I mean, it was started by 50, but he passed. Yeah. So.
Well, I think mintCast is unique in that we're open to the fact that it can be different hosts.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be Rob. It doesn't have to be, Scott or anybody.
Isaac.
No. And it has been since the second, third year, hasn't it?
Yeah.
After Charles started it up.
Yeah. It's a podcast, not a host, that keeps it going. I mean, it's the spirit of Linux Mint, I guess, and the community that allows it to just continue and continue and continue.
Should get Klaatu on here.
Well, he did do 2 shows.
Oh yeah, that's what we also have with Moss's work, is we know who was barely here as well. I'll need to go back and listen to some of those Joe Ressington shows, though. I've heard maybe 2 of them, but those were his early days. That was his start, when right when he was getting his start.
Well, that's what really got him into podcasting, wasn't it? And he's now producer and quite a few shows. So.
Yep.
And he's producer on more shows than on. So.
Yep. And Nishant says Spirit of Free and Libra, and I guess he's talking about mintCast. And I mean, that's true, right? I mean, it's not one developer, I guess. As far as software goes, we can fork it and do all kinds of fun stuff with it. So yeah. I mean, exactly. All right.
My audio's still heading to drive. Says 4 minutes left.
I'm waiting to shut her down before I get the upload going, so I don't ruin anything. Because I will. Trust me, I will.
Yeah, but with the way people have been dropping off the show, we could probably bring in 2 or 3 more hosts.
Yeah, I mean, I think that wouldn't be a bad thing, though.
And I think we should make it clear as well that if you join, apart from you and Joe, no one has done every show. So, you don't have to commit to every show.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's about bringing new blood on and, giving the audience a bit of a change, new views and insights.
Look, if people want to keep listening to me, I have another show. You can listen to me if you want. But yeah, I mean, that's a good way to look at it too. I mean, new blood is always good because, I've got my ideas about how things should work and my takes on specific news and stuff like that. So it'd be nice to know what other folks think.
I freely admit that lately we've had an issue with actually picking topics.
Yeah.
So it might be nice to get somebody with some new ideas on to help pick topics.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of that is I have less and less time anymore. So, I don't get to sit and think about, what we should do and what is good for everybody on the show that at least most people can contribute. It's just it's been tougher lately.
And we have to remember that life's fluid as well. None of us know what tomorrow's going to bring, let alone next, So, yeah.
All right. I mean, I guess overall, as long as you can get 2 folks talking, I mean, that's what happened with me and Joe last episode. As long as you got 2 people to banter back and forth, I think you still make a pretty good show. And I'll be here throwing links at you. I will always be here.
Oh.
Writing terrible things in the notes.
This is the one thing about Chromium I don't like.
Uh-oh.
It doesn't seem to like doing uploads. I'm going to have to crash that and go into Firefox.
See? There you go, Joe. Take that. All right. I guess I'll kill that old live stream. Hey, the cool thing about this is, though, I can kill the live stream without even standing up anymore. So they don't have to see me walk away and then the live stream fades away eventually. It's all right here now.
Well, yeah, we were talking about me setting up with 2 machines, and I was thinking that I could probably just, if I really had to, do it with my tablet and use barrier between my main PC and that tablet and use that as the soundboard and second connection to everything. Because it does have a i5 processor, i5 8350U.
Yeah, this should probably be fine. I mean, this is pretty equivalent to that. I think this is a 4-core Ryzen 5. What did I say yesterday, Tony? 2400 GE. So, I mean, it's the low-powered version of the 2400. I mean, it didn't, as far as I could tell, there were no complaints in the chat. So, I mean, I feel like everything went pretty well. I didn't get any errors or anything like that, and I was running everything. So it's good. But I'll show you all that on Saturday if you want, and then you'll see how I do it, and then you can do it better.
There will probably be some hiccups in the transition. I'm sure things will fall apart at least once.
Hey,
but
at least
it's a learning experience.
That's it.
And I'll stutter through the opening the first couple of times, and then I'll get better.
What's funny is I stuttered through the opening today because I was hearing myself and I couldn't tell where it was coming from. But it turns out that I played the music, and then the rhythm box decided to just play the next thing, which was like episode 322. So it just started, and I'm like, why do I keep hearing myself? And then I figured it out, and then changed the default to celluloid. So, and then celluloid repeated the transition theme. So I'm like, why is it? Oh God! And so I had to swap that. So yeah, Joe, if you can, I've been doing this for a while, and I still mess up. So whatever.
Maybe we'll let Tony take one or two.
There you go. See, Tony, it's all on you now.
I'll have a look. But I'm very impressed tonight. We probably managed to get 2-hour-long shows, or thereabout again.
I think the front half of the show might be slightly longer than the last half.
Than the second half.
We were transitioning to the second half of the show at 55 minutes. So we were.
Yeah. I thought it was around about the hour.
Wow. Mark, okay. See, right as we get it perfect, timing-wise, I'm out.
That's with 3 of us. When we go back up to 6 hosts, no change.
Oh, yeah, good luck.
We did it good with 2 as well.
Yeah, we ended up with 2 1-hour sections. I mean, it really came down to about an hour each.
Yeah.
So, yep, definitely. All right. Well, I'm going to
kill. Seems like the rest of the team just doesn't want to do pie shows.
I think 2 or 3 hosts seems to be the sweet spot for around 2 hours. But if we start increasing it, then we're going to have to keep a tight rein on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's what we got Tony for. He likes to do.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate those. That helped. I'm like, crap! I had 6 more minutes. Hang on, let me just trim it off then. All right, guys, I'm gonna kill the live stream. Everybody that was on the live stream, listening, hanging out, all you folks still in there, thank you for coming in, hanging out with us for a little while. I appreciate it, and we'll see you again on Saturday. If not Saturday, we'll see you again on Sunday.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Hey, thanks, guys. I'm gonna go harass the family.
Okay.